just gonna go and shout out to Pizza Hut one more time because they had the fucking pizzas good, man.
Was that your dinner today?
Get me some. No, we had to get some this week. I guess I should have saved it for my week. Just figured I'd go ahead and shout that out. Because again, I don't know how long their Pizza Bites thing is going to be in. It still says it's a limited time deal, so
yeah,
might as well shout them out. Ain't, if they want to cut us a check for advertising, that's fine. We're not going to turn it down.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the end of time. I'm Michael.
I'm Chris.
I need to stock up on my candy, man. I realize that my candy stock is getting low.
Can't have that.
I must be getting sick or something. Shit. I want to start this episode out by giving a PSA to our audience. This is nothing game related. This is just real life shit. Just want to tell you that in your personal life, if you ever feel that in any given situation you have been overpaid, you need to check in on that. I mean that in any facet. If you feel like your work is overpaid you, if you feel you've been overpaid like a refund in taxes, some bonuses, military pay, incentives, anything like that. If you feel that you've gotten extra money, even when you're like 90% sure you're entitled to it, check into it. Because if you don't, and it turns out that you did, and you have spent the money, that shit can bite you in the ass.
I feel like there's a story here.
I don't want to go into the details of the story. This is like real life and kind of work, college shit related, so it is what it is. But just a thing, I'm sure this doesn't apply to everybody, and even the people that it does apply to, it's only going to affect like 1%. But when you may be potentially talking about thousands of dollars, that 1% person is like, yeah, man, this sucks. So, in life, just keep on your P's and Q's. Especially if you're the person that has like multiple different incomes coming to you different times of the year. Because it'll put you in a fucking situation. It'll piss you off at a minimum. At a maximum, it'll set your finances askew. And nobody wants that.
Nope.
On the lighter side of things, another public service announcement. Another shout out actually. If you by chance have a local Olive Garden nearby, and I know, hold on before you start throwing the restaurant shovels at me. I want to shout out a drink they have. Man, I'm telling you, I'm just all about just trying to get some money for this podcast. Not really. I just generally like the things that I like. I likes what I likes, and I like people to know about it. There is a non-alcoholic beverage drink they have there it's a kiwi melon limonada. Weird, strange, fancy sounding name, but it is very good. I think it's like $2 for a cup. Tell them Easy Ice to get some more. Mm-hmm. That one's free. You can have that. That's some good shit, man. It's a limonada. It's a lemonade type thirst quencher drink, man. It's fucking delicious. And I have gotten, I think, like 7 other people hooked on it so far, and that count is rising daily. Nice. I go get them.
My girlfriend's just talking about going to Olive Garden. So maybe we'll have to try
that out. Yep, check it out. If you're not, if you want a drink, especially a non-alcoholic one, it's definitely a good one. Mm-hmm. If anything, get it to go and drink that shit later. Like I said, it's a good casual sitting around what the fuck ever drink too. Anything besides the topic today that we can think of news related, Chris? It's going to be kind of rough because most of it was in the
yeah.
Most of it was in the topic for today.
I feel like there was something, but it probably related to topic if I remember what it is.
Yeah, I think there was too. Like I said, by the time that we record during the weeks anyway, I've already listened to like almost all of my podcasts, and I get a lot of my news filtered through those guys, and I hate regurgitating. So I don't want people to think that like I'm just copying, but that's legitimately how I get most of my news. I should be the good sleuth and go to the 30 or 40 different gaming sites and pick it out myself, but I just don't have time or motivation to do that. And I already ingest at least 3 separate podcasts. So, they're going to tell me what I want to know, and they're updated weekly. So,
yeah.
I really can't think of any, man. Nothing that was pretty big. And again, because of the topic today, most of it probably going to be covered there.
I mean, I can throw out that Twitch is going to be streaming Pokemon starting next week for all month.
Really?
Yep.
Really? Like the Pokemon show, or just like Pokemon games, or what?
932 episodes of the Pokemon anime series, as well as every movie.
Holy effing A, Cotton. That's a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there were that many in Pokemon.
Oh, God. Yeah, I started watching on Netflix, and I was like, I have no idea what this is. I was like, let me just go back to the start. I watched from the beginning. But yeah, Twitch has a channel called Twitch Presents, and they will do stuff like that. Like there was a Doctor Who one. I think right now there's something related to K-dramas. And then starting the 27th, it will be Pokemon.
Wow.
So.
I was just looking up, I always hear that One Piece, the anime, I didn't know that that's like an extremely long time running anime series. And I was wondering how the Pokemon series compared to One Piece. And according to the Wikipedia article for One Piece, they have 850 episodes. So sounds like if you want to waste 3 years of your life, you got to pick your poison, either Pokemon or One Piece. I wouldn't recommend both. That's cool, man. That's cool. Because I think the new Pokemon game comes out. I think there's a couple Pokemon games up and coming.
Let me check our upcoming games tab. Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu come out November 16th.
Yes. The year is not over, folks. There's more shit coming.
No, we're about to get into the big months. We've had some decent releases so far, but then, next month, Spider-Man, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. October has Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Mega Man 11, Super Mario Party, Battlefield 5, Red Dead Redemption 2. November has Hitman 2, Fallout 76, and the Pokemon games. And yeah, I'm sure we'll get even more after that. And that's just the big ones. There's others scattered in there that may or may not be worth playing.
That is something that I gleaned off of Giant Bomb that I just remembered. They were talking about Battlefield 5, and paraphrasing, mind you, but they were saying that the pre-sales for Battlefield 5 are so bad that they're basically going back to the drawing board for, I don't recall what. I don't remember if they're maybe trying to add more incentives to the game, if they're changing things about the game, if they're changing how they're doing pre-sales and pre-orders. I'm not sure, but I hate to hear that for Battlefield specifically. I mean, it's not a big deal for me in any way, shape, or form, except for the fact that gaming is a fucking business industry. As sad as that is to say, But if given the two big first person shooter genres, if you told me that was happening in Call of Duty, I'd be indifferent. I'm slightly less indifferent to Battlefield because I prefer that one. I don't want to see them do any kind of bad. I also haven't played Battlefield since Battlefield 3, so my opinions are skewed. I don't know what they've changed. I don't know how off or different 4 and 1 and World War II or what the other ones are like. So who knows, man? Maybe they've kind of drifted away from the core of what I know, and the core of what I know is Bad Company 1, 2, and Battlefield 3.
Yeah, I actually heard. I'd have to go back and look up the article, but I think I saw an article similar to that about the Pokemon games coming out. Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu.
Really?
That their pre-sales were lower than they expected. But, I'm not surprised when it's all said and done because it's coming to Switch instead of a DS. Mm-hmm. If it was DS, there'd be no questions asked. That's just how it is. But this is the first time a main game is on the Switch, so there's a different barrier to entry. Now they have to have a Switch. Maybe they never had one. Maybe they only had DSs. I'm I'm probably going to buy another Switch just because of how it's designed, and I don't want to share mine with the kids, you know?
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
I mean, I haven't pre-ordered the game, but I'm going to buy at least 2 copies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. And the other thing with the Pokemon game is that you can get the little Pokeball controller thing. Mm-hmm. And I was going to pre-order that, but then I didn't. I think because of shipping time, or there was a reason I ended up not pre-ordering it. So even though I haven't pre-ordered, that's still 2 copies that are going to be sold. So
right.
I'm not going to read too much into it. I expect that once it comes out and people actually get their, this isn't the mainline game. That's also one thing to keep in mind. That's next year. This is just the hybrid Pokemon Go mainline game, you know, the bridge between the two.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's not terribly surprising as well.
It is something it is a conversation piece I guess we can talk about is how do you and I feel that pre-sales determine like game quality? I gotta say, man, the more that I get into subjects like this, the more aggravated I become because it starts pulling back legitimately, man. It starts pulling back the curtain for me of the elephant in the room of what gaming is. And I mean, guys, let's fucking be real here. Even back to Nintendo days and Atari days, it's always been a business. Yeah. It's always going to be a business. Now, you're very fortunate, or we are very fortunate that industry spread across the multiple companies, both hardware and software alike. They are filled to bursting with passionate people. You know, you have programmers, you have passionate programmers, passionate idea men and women, passionate music composers, passionate story writers. Yeah, I get all that. It's great I'd say that there's a good mix. And even that's kind of wishy-washy. I'd say I hope in my naive mind that there is a mix of like, I don't know, 75% passionate gamers and the other 25 are, we're just business people. I am John C. Stennis. I am just a programmer. That's all I know how to do. Well, dude, you're programming for, Ocarina of Time sequel. Man, I do not care. I sit in front of a computer and I program exceedingly fucking fast. Albert over there, he programs a little slower than me, but his passion for this game is unrivaled. We just happen to be sharing the same office. I don't care about Ocarina of Time. I don't care about video games. I am told to program, and I program and I write a check. I get that those kind of people can exist in the industry, but I have this feeling that there are a lot of people who are like, no, man, It brought tears to my eyes the day that I got brought onto the Street Fighter scene. Capcom hired me to be a art designer. Not even a lead. I just got to be part of the guy that draws the background. That kind of thing. So while it's great that there hopefully are passionate people in this industry, it's still about fucking money at the end of the day. For a lot of these companies, for a lot of this shit, as much as we see on stage with E3 and all these other great venues, and we see these what look like passionate people about, we're just excited to bring you the next great game experience. There's people behind them in a fucking room smoking cigars going, this game is not selling its pre-orders. Okay, you guys told me that this is going to wow the audience and we're going to see, 400,000 pre-sales. We see 22. We need to do something. Not we need to make the game better. Not we strictly need to do things. We need to get more bells and whistles out there. We need to get more attention. That's what I fear with when I hear things like this. Like I shouldn't even know or care that a pre-order is or is not doing bad. But because of the information industry age we live in, I do. And then when I do, I go, man, why? It's almost like you can't really win in this kind of conversation. You can't really win in this scenario because at the end of the day, it is about money. It's going to be about money to somebody.
Yeah.
It's great that there are companies out there that are highly passionate about making games, and they will bankrupt their life for that. And God, don't fucking do that. But it's great that those people exist. But when you're talking about Bethesda, when you're talking about EA, when you're talking about Square Enix, when you're talking about Capcom, yes, you have passionate people there. But when a game will not sell, they're not gonna do that. What do you think about pre-sales and its outlook on the gaming life?
I mean, as you said, they're businesses. So there's some level of analytics that go in that just makes sense, I'm kind of curious how bad the pre-order rate is for either of these games we've talked about. Because if it's a little low, not a big deal. They'll just maybe ramp up advertising or do something a little bit different to or special to kind of boost them. Some of them, I mean, if it's bad enough, like the Pokemon game, I don't see anything changing. But a game like Battlefield, that's totally up in the air. And I think it's, for them in particular, I think it's more of a big deal because of all the bad press they've had lately. With Battlefield 4, all the stuff that went on with it, or whatever other releases they've had. All of that, and then to see the pre-orders not where they want them to be, it's like, okay, we're still suffering. Now, are they just still suffering because of previous bad press, or do people genuinely think there's something wrong with Battlefield 5, what they've seen so far?
Right.
It's kind of hard to determine just based on pre-sale numbers, which it is. Because a lot of people are like, well, screw them. They pull an ad, I'm like, screw that publisher or whatever because of their mistakes. We're not going to, buy their products anymore. Nothing you can do about that with Battlefield 5. You're just screwed overall.
Right.
I'll admit I haven't looked that much into Battlefield 5, so I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it. It's just another Battlefield game for me. Not my typical game. But, the industry as a whole, I think it's gotten better about the higher ups that are not necessarily gamers, don't really care about gaming. They're just there as part of the industry and business side. I think we've improved on that front. It's still going to be there. It's still going to happen no matter what. But I do think we've seen a lot more from companies on the side of gamers and less on the side of business. I think they've come to realize that if they just pump out stuff, if they force game releases, if they do all these things, that gamers complain about, they're going to see worse sales. Maybe Battlefield 5 is an example of that. I don't know. It's something that has to be fixed because the industry can only, excuse me, I whistled there. The industry can only maintain that for so long.
Yeah. I'd like to go back and I don't know, I wouldn't like to. This is too much homework for me to have to deal with, but I'd like to go back and see what the industry was like. Maybe the companies, it'd be so hard to get an analytics on this, but like, how did the game industry strive before pre-orders were even a thing? Today, if you wanted to pre-order Doom Eternal, you can go online to probably no less than 15 or 20 various places. You're almost gonna pay around the same price, shipping and handling. If you get a physical copy, it might be your only difference. But you can also, I would assume, you can also buy digital pre-orders as well. And you can have that game to where, and especially if you get it pre-ordered digitally, a couple days before the game releases, you can start pre-downloading the game. And the day the game is released, you can download and play it. Take me back to 1996. What the fuck? What's a pre-order? I didn't know what a pre-order was. If that existed in that time frame, I didn't even know about it. Take me back to 1986. What pre-orders? What do you mean I can pre-order fucking Ninja Turtles 2? I don't know if that. We did years in reviews. I should know the years these games came out. But the point still remains. Like, this is we are so spoiled with the day and age of the gaming industry that we live in, with pre-orders and save states and save your games to the cloud and yada yada yada. I'd love to know, the industry strived back then. It did its own thing. I guess now there's just a different offset for a company to look out and go, yeah, people are not that hype about this game. Well, I mean, it may be that, but it may be people are just waiting for it to come out. And I could see how it could work out. You know, obviously, if my pre-order sales are 100,000 copies, but this other game is like 13, I get it. Yeah. Obviously, more people physically wanted the game. Even if half of those people back out, it's still on their side. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it starts to reek of that fucking snake coming around the corner going, yeah, I mean, it's got to fucking make that bottom dollar. Make that bottom dollar. I can't think of too many instances lately where I've been personally hurt because a company canceled a game, aside from the Mega Man franchise. And I really don't even know why. That's something for me to research in my own time, is why all that went down the way it did.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know, there are people out there that love the Metal Gear Solid series or Metal Gear series. You know, maybe they figure out why all that shit went down between Capcom or Konami and Hideo Kojima. I always have this leering whisper in the back of my head that goes, man, you know, it was because of money. You know, there was this game that was up there and up there and up there, and for whatever reason, they just didn't see this game panning out good enough. What was there was an Xbox One game that was supposed to be coming out in a year, or maybe it was even supposed to come out this year. I forget the name of it, but I remember the E3 trailer for it was like a guy with some headphones on, and he was running around at the speed of sound, got places to go, got to follow my rainbow. Oh, that's Sonic. He was running around with headphones on, and there was like a dragon. I think he either summoned a dragon or he paired up with a dragon. I might be wrong. Maybe fought with a dragon. You know what I'm talking about.
That wasn't at the last E3. That was like a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember if it was last E3. I just remember it was an E3.
The only thing I can think of that anything to sound like a dragon was like Scalebound or something like that.
Was it Scalebound?
I don't know if that was the actual name. I may be remembering it wrong.
I don't think it was Scalebound. Everybody listen to us type. Yes, Scalebound. Yes, right there. Perfect. Chris, you're a fucking genius. Awesome. Yeah. So this game is an example of what I mean. This is something for us to research, something for me to research, or somebody to give us actually, if you want to write in and tell us about it, what you found out. But I was remotely interested in this game. Yeah. I was, it seems pretty cool because it's got a fucking dragon, and it's the trailer looked okay. It looked pretty cool. It looked like if this trailer for me compared to Sunset Overdrive, I wanted to play this game as opposed to Sunset Overdrive.
Sure.
This game got canceled. From what I remember, I think it got canceled either this year or late last year or sometime. Just got dropped. Just got canceled. And I'm sure both internally and through the media and press, there's probably a legitimate reason or a cascading amount of reasons why this game got canceled. This game, the trailer that I saw, looked, at least the gameplay looked like a late build, unless they specifically modeled that trailer around this, which I don't know. I don't see that. I don't remember dates. I can't recall when the trailer came out, and I can't recall when the game was supposed to be released after the trailer. So all I remember is that, go ahead.
It was announced E3 2014. It was not shown at 2015 at E3, but it's shown at Gamescom. And
Topical.
It was set to be released in late 2016, was delayed to 2017, and then was officially canceled January of 2017.
Okay. Well, this is way old news for me then. I thought this was this year. Anyway, This is a prime example. This game looked pretty cool, looked pretty interesting. It's a new IP to me. If it's a remake of something, I've never heard of the original, but it looked cool. And the game just got canceled. And all I'm getting at with this whole entire Skillbound spotlight is that I feel in my mind, instead of 16-year-old naive me would have been like, oh man, that game that I saw in EGM got canceled. Man, that sucked. It looked pretty cool. Well, I guess maybe they ran out of money, or maybe the company got bought out, or maybe there was too much ambition and they didn't have enough shit to work with. And excuse, reason. 36-year-old me thinks, man, it probably just didn't look like the money was projecting well enough for them. That's what my mind always defaults to now, because I know that is the industry. It is still about money. You don't have to look far. Look at loot boxes, look at pre-order bonuses, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah,
and yeah.
I mean, that's an odd one too, because it was in development by Platinum Games too.
Oh man,
a Microsoft IP, but developed by Platinum Games.
Another stake right in my heart too, because Platinum is one of those companies where, hey, give it to Platinum, they'll make it good.
Yeah.
Platinum is the opposite way from EA for me when I think about the two companies. If I think about a game and they're like, hey, we've got this game idea, be it a previously known IP or a new IP, and we want to give it a particular touch, you give it to EA. We're going to make money off that fucker. That's what I feel they do. We're going to machine press this game. Platinum, let me show you some shit we can put in this game. And then you can play it and you can definitely tell it has a Platinum touch to it. You can definitely tell it's a touch of EA too. It's almost a touch of death at times. Excuse me. So, yeah. Pre-orders. And look, I'm not against pre-orders either. That's totally not what this whole thing is about either. I have right now the new Spider-Man pre-ordered, and I'm trying to get the Doom Eternal pre-order as well. I like pre-orders solely for the fact a lot of the mainstays that people go for pre-orders for are kind of secondary and tertiary for me. Like the fact of a perfect example, being able to pre-download a game, a few nights beforehand and have a lot of have some of the work done ahead of time. That way, whenever the day itself drops, the game doesn't take as long to download. That's cool. Yeah. That's awesome. The main reason why I like pre-orders is just because my money is sometimes it's here, sometimes it's not here. And if I have the ability to get it right now and can get it, that's cool. I can just buy it and have it. I don't have to worry about it no more. There's no receipt needed, no standing in line, none of that old school shit. It's just, hey, it's the date. Got the game. Cool.
Yeah. I like being able to just order something and then not think about it until it comes out,
Precisely. That's exactly how I have it, Spider-Man.
I've got 3 things pre-ordered right now. I think I've talked about this before. I have Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Kingdom Hearts 3, and the Final Fantasy 7 Remake.
Yeah. Good God. So you have a 3.5-year pre-order, Chris?
Hey, I've had that pre-order on Final Fantasy 7 Remake since August of 2016. I've had it for 2 years now. Game probably won't come out for another 5. But I got it pre-ordered.
It better too, man. Nobody wants to get that email. It's like, hey, so we're refunding that money back to you because I don't think that's going to happen, man. Take your time, Square. It's okay. I get it. Just don't fucking ruin that game,
But actually release it eventually, please.
Yes, please do. Take your time, but 10 years is unacceptable. Told us to take our time. The Final Fantasy 7 Remake to me is such. It's another tale of an industry thing that I was just talking about. Like I always, again, 16-year-old me, hey, why do you think they would not make a Final Fantasy VII Remake? Man, because they probably don't want to touch that. Well, if it's 96, I don't even know the game. It's not time yet. That game's not even out yet. Why wouldn't they remake Secret of Mana? Why wouldn't they do that? Well, it's probably too soon, or they probably don't see a real reason to remake it because it's so soon. They don't have a different type of game they want to make it. They're treating it with respect, and they don't want to touch it right now. And that's kind of the way I thought about Final Fantasy VII for a long time too. But I also thought, man, again, this is just so shitty that I even think this way, but I always thought, man, they're saving a Final Fantasy VII Remake for when the company's doing shitty, and it's time to fucking make some money. Because there is nothing... I can't really think of too many other things besides a Chrono Trigger remake, and even that, I mean, I love your Chrono Trigger, but as far as popularity, come on, Final Fantasy VII is known every fucking where.
Mm-hmm.
Chrono Trigger is arguably a better RPG. I say arguably, to me it is a better RPG, but I mean, again, if we're strictly talking popularity, Final Fantasy VII. And if a company like Squaresoft has such a massive, titan, behemoth popularity game like Final Fantasy VII, if they're going to remaster it, that's pulling in money. That is guaranteed gold in the bank. And I don't know anything about Squaresoft's financials. I don't know how good, Square Enix financials. I don't know how good or how bad they're doing. All I know is they're remaking it. I'm going to say partially due to peer pressure. I'm going to say partially to them releasing a fucking demo for PlayStation 3 and people are going, wait, you're not remaking it? Nah, that was a tech demo. A tech demo. So we don't have this coming. Nah, man, come on, you guys, silly. We're not remaking Final Fantasy VII right now. And then they're murdered in their sleep for the stupidity that they did.
Yeah, thinking about it now, thought just came to me, and I don't know if this has been mentioned anywhere or not, but I wonder if part of the reason for the delay is because of the next gen that's coming.
Could be.
Because we're getting those words, those whispers.
That's something else, man. Like that. Like, I get it. I understand, but don't make me wait for a game because you want the next console. Like, come on, man. Have faith in your product. We're already talking about the PlayStation 4. Even if you're pushing the limits and saying it's PlayStation 4 Pro.
Yeah.
We're talking about the fucking PS4. And then, I guess, simultaneously PC, and I don't know, fuck it. Shoot for billions and release it all across the board. No. We're in the 8th generation of consoles, man. It's okay. Release it now. Well, Cloud's hair will look prettier on the PlayStation 5. I don't fucking care. Like, I don't care if I can see the skin bumps on Tifa's arms or the individual hairs of fucking Nanaki as he's running through. I don't care. Like, this is a remake. You have teased it years ago, and you have now promised us pretty much that you are making it and it's coming out.
Yeah.
Don't make us wait another 3 years, and the reason being, we were waiting for the next gen. We were waiting for the next best thing.
No, I believe, I don't know if there's any exclusive console. I don't know if it's only for PS4 right now, but imagine the money Sony would make if it was a PS5 launch title exclusive.
Jesus. Consoles sold.
Yeah.
Sold. They would not have enough production to make the amount of consoles they would need. You would damn near see the Nintendo Mini situation, but with a fucking console.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that too. This is another reality that I have to face. As much as I love Final Fantasy VII, and as much as I truly believe that the world knows about Final Fantasy VII, RPGs are only a solid chunk of genres out there that the mass populace care about, 1. 2, Final Fantasy VII was when? 96, 97? A long time has passed, man. a long time, and a lot of Final Fantasies have come and gone too. And Final Fantasies have, in the opinion, they've gone down.
Yeah.
So I feel that there is a possibility that while the 36-year-old guy, is like, fuck yeah, this is going to be great. This is awesome. This is a tribute. This is something we deserve. When I tap the 23-year-old coworker on the shoulder and go, hey man, Final Fantasy 7 is getting remade, as he's playing, whatever. He's like, yeah, that's cool. I heard about that game back then. That's the one where that girl dies, right? It's like, yeah, man, but they're remaking this game. They're remastering it. It's like, yeah, I mean, but they're all, Mass Effect Andromeda 2 is coming out. God. Oh God, no.
We haven't heard anything from them, have we?
No.
I wonder what they're working on.
They are wallowing, and you know what? They're going back to the books because the sales weren't that good. No, the sales weren't that good, my friend, and neither were the opinions. That's what you need to focus on. You need to focus on the feedback and less on the money. The money, hopefully the money talks. But.
And, I was actually going to bring this up in what we were talking about before. I think developers and the publishing companies have realized that when a game has that effort and that passion put into it, they do so much better more times than not. Looking at all the indie hits that are just from passionate, developers, maybe one guy, maybe a small team, but they're making so much money because they made a game that, they would want to play, that they thought others would want to play, not just, well, let's see how much money I can make off this,
Hollow Knight is a prime example. There are several out there for you to pick from via Steam, but it's such a perfect example. As far as I know, the only person that I've ever heard about this was the William Pellin. And maybe he had a small team, maybe 3 or 4 friends that helped him out on things, but either way, that is pretty much one guy, and that is a huge, extraordinarily good Metroidvania game. That is passion. That's somebody who sees their own sweat and blood go into it, and they go back and back and back and back to the drawing board, perfecting it. That's awesome. As opposed to, hey man, let's do the next fucking Star Wars game. Battlefront 3, right? Right? Yeah, let's go. The next Mass Effect, right? So,
yeah, Stardew Valley was one guy. I think it still is. Even with all its success, I think it's stuck with the one guy.
Yeah. Dead Cells is another one. I'm not sure if I don't remember that guy's name. But yeah, I'm sure that's just one person. And I'm not saying that the greatest games in the world have to be designed by one person. I don't think Chris is either. I think the idea is that's somebody that says, I want to make this kind of game. I've grown up with these types of games. I love those types of games. I've had my own ideas about what would make them better. I see ideas from other genres or other games that make it better. I'm going to make my own. And then you look at a AAA company that puts out something like Mass Effect Andromeda and you go, guys, you really don't have an excuse.
Yeah.
I get that these are also 2 completely different games. Okay, let's make that distinction really clear. If you put Hollow Knight next to Mass Effect Andromeda, so many obvious differences are going to come about. Okay, you've got a 2D side scroller, you've got a 3D, arguably a galaxy universe exploration RPG. Yeah, I get it. More resources are needed. You need voice acting, you need better music, etc., etc. But it's just that mentality of looking at a game that's par or subpar, and then you look at a game like Hollow Knight or Dead Cells, and it's like, resources was your problem, huh?
Yeah.
You don't say. You could even take it back old school. You look at it, you'd have to do that in its own time frame. But like taking a game like Super Mario Brothers 3, just here you go. Here's one game. It's fucking awesome. Yeah. I love passionate people. Oh, Chris, God, man, there's another good example. The Sonic game, Sonic Mania.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. That's somebody who's like, yeah, I love Sonic games, and here's my vision of it. You have a fan essentially came in and schooled Sonic Team on how to make Sonic games. Alarm bells are ringing here, you know? Oh, man. It'd be like somebody coming to me and saying, hey, man, I want you to make the new Mega Man game. I got you covered. I'm not going to go out and make a fucking racing RPG simulator. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make a Mega Man game, and I'm going to try to keep it to the core of what I love about Mega Man and what I think makes Mega Man.
Yeah.
Not, I got $4 million. Ooh, anybody here play Witcher? Let's make a Mega Man Witcher game. That's a good idea, right? Yeah. I don't know why I just did Jerry from fucking Jerry. Yeah. Passionate people, man. And I agree too. This is so much homework you're trying to put on me, Chris, but I'm not doing any of it. It's something good to go look at. It's good to be able to see E3 as an example. When you see these conferences, and even for me who doesn't do a lot of homework, I don't follow news completely. I don't have all these developers' names off the top of my head, but I know through external resources, be it podcasts or magazine articles or whatever, somebody would get on stage, especially like reaction videos are good ones. I think Easy Allies reactions, they were really good about, that's so-and-so. He used to be a product manager at Konami. Before that, he was a lead character designer at Square. Before that, he was a games journalist for this company. It's like, okay, this person has been around and has moved up the ranks, and now he's, the head game designer for Bethesda. That's fucking awesome. It's great when you see those. It's great when you see those people, and not only do they talk passionately about what's going on, but you can tell they're like, man, back when I designed the music for GoldenEye, I never thought I'd be here doing this. And you're like, fuck yes. It's sad when you see the suits. In comparison, it's sad when you got John Q fucking bow tie up there. It's like, gonna give you the latest gaming experience. If you look on this graph, you can see how our products are making so much money. And you're like, oh man, here's a clip. Roll it, Vince. Dude, it's like you're so sad. You suck so bad. And then you got fucking T-shirt McGriffin coming out. Hey man, all right, so I'm the project designer for Cyberpunk 2077. Here's what I've got coming. And you're like, yeah! Oh man, it's good. It's good stuff. Chris.
Yeah.
How's your week been, man?
Not too bad.
All right, well, you heard it right here. Chris's week, so my...
All right, Mr. Producer. Whatever you say.
Hey, I kind of fucked myself on that one because I did just ask you a question and I got an answer. So, hey, Chris, why don't you tell us about your week? That would have been better. But how was your week? It was good. All right. Well, cool.
Yeah. It's been a week of wanting to play more games than I have time for. It's one of those opposite of the drought where there's nothing to do. So start off as normal, not to, change things up on anyone. Played some Destiny 2. I'm still...
Destiny 2 section.
Yeah, I've still got so much to grind through. I was actually playing it earlier. I was waiting on dinner to cook. Trying to grind out some public events to get one of the materials I need for a thing I need for the shell that's part of the Moments of Triumph, for this year. I think I've almost... I need to go back and see if it's even still possible. I may have procrastinated enough to where I've screwed myself. And, I don't know if I have enough time for everything. Possible? Yeah, because of, like I was talking about, there's a thing you can only do 3 up per week. I don't know if I did enough last week.
So if you botch this, does it just mean that your grinding would take longer? Is that what we're getting at?
It means I couldn't do it.
Or would you miss out on something?
I would miss out. I wouldn't be able to complete it because it ends end of the month. So I don't think I have. I think I was far enough along that I'm right at that cutoff, essentially.
Yeah.
I might, I don't know, I'll have to go and actually see, but I'm going to keep going like it's, not a big deal. But if I miss it because of that, it's going to be very annoying. But at the same time, if I find out that's the case, I can go, okay, well, I can stop grinding. I can stop worrying about everything else,
The fucking mental gymnastics that you're going through with this game are just,
Yeah. I love the game, but this grind is ridiculous this time around.
Yes.
I don't mind completing all the events. I'll do all the raids. Sure. I'll do them now. I still haven't done them. But I'll probably do them this weekend. Finally knock them all out. I'm okay with that. It's one event, I know I just put a group together or find a group and go do it. But some of these, like the strikes, I did some strike grinding the other day. I don't know how long I played. It's probably only a couple hours because I couldn't bear it for very long. I got 3, levels with the Vanguard. I have to get to 50. I'm at 28. I was at 25 when I started. So I got a whole 3 levels, but that was with, minimal trying, minimal effort. Yeah. It's just so painful. Trying to Google and figure out what the best ways to optimize the grind just to hopefully reduce it some.
Jesus.
This is probably the most brutal moments of triumph there's been. And, but thinking about it, a lot of it is probably as grindy as it is because of how little I've actually played the game,
Right.
Right. I've talked about, once I was done with the, story and done with, cause I didn't want to do the raid because I didn't like the raid when, it dropped. And because I didn't do the first raid, I didn't want to do the raid layers that followed it because, I'm obviously missing because they're related to the first raid, because normally missing a raid wasn't a big deal in Destiny 1 because they were all separate DLCs, unrelated to each other.
Yeah, yeah.
In D2, the raid and its raid layers are all related in ways.
So we're saying story-wise they're related as well. Oh, man.
As far as I know, I could be mistaken. Someone could correct me on that, but I avoided them because I was like, well, I didn't do the raid. The raid layer takes place in the same place. So that's kind of why, my assumption is that they're all related, and based on, the name and stuff, it makes sense, with the story.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do that and, not know what's going on. Not that ultimately, it wouldn't make a difference. It's all mechanic-based raid. There's no lore-based raid, so I wouldn't need to know what the previous one was, Yeah. I don't know. It's been pretty painful. And I've had no motivation to do it this week. I think Friday I played for a bit, and then Saturday morning I think I played for like 2 hours, and I was like, all right, I'm out. I've had enough of grinding. I want to go play something fun, Let me ask a question, and I'm gonna give a lesson to audience members that don't know a lot about MMOs and how they work. Mm-hmm. That's gonna it's gonna be a prelude to the question. Okay.
So, and I'm gonna use Final Fantasy XIV as my example because that's the one that I know the most. In Final Fantasy XIV, when an expansion comes out, or even new content comes out, here's how this shit works. Usually the new content will get released, and there will be a set amount of raids, say 3 or 4. There'll be multiple tiers, but the tiers won't necessarily be difficulty. It'll just be different raids. So you'll have, in the same difficulty group, you'll have one raid where it's kill the enemy. The next one will be defend the base. The next one will be, and I know these don't exist, I'm just trying to give broad examples here. And then about a month or so later, maybe even weeks later, the harder difficulty raids will come out. The upscale of difficulty raids. And the idea is you want to have been doing the raids that originally came out so you can have better gear to not only do all the dungeons and the quest lines and everything else and have that time be a little bit easier on you, but you'll be geared up for the harder, extreme difficulty raids.
Yeah.
Now, typically, that's your main goal. Your crown, your achievement, your mental goal, your goal post is to, I want to beat those difficult raids all the way through. And again, there usually be about 4 of them. They're all different in mechanics, and they're all pretty much the same difficulty length. Like, you could do these original raids at, let's say your gear level needs to be like level 200. That means you have at that time the maximum, the best helmet, the best chest piece, the best boots, the best weapon, etc. But this raid content coming out has to be higher. You know, you're looking to be like 250, whatever, just making up shit examples. But even when the new difficulty content gets released, that is your goal. You want to beat the first raid, beat the second raid, beat the third raid, beat the fourth raid. And in 14, typically, they would give you lore progression every time you beat one. Granted, you're going to spend like, a week or two on that first raid. But once you beat that raid, you get some story. Now you can have the second one unlocked, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. Depending on how good you and your raid group are, you're gonna potentially spend a lot of time in that difficulty raid. You're gonna spend a couple weeks, if not more, on every single raid itself. And then, if it's like month 2, because the new content comes out every 3 months in Final Fantasy XIV, once you have accomplished all 4 of those higher difficulty raids, that's it. There's really nothing else for you to experience because you have done the most difficult thing in that game and gotten the most difficult side quest style storyline. My question to you is, Chris, what is the rating and the grinding? So the grinding in Final Fantasy XIV is going to be get better gear to beat the difficult raid and get that experience, get that chivo, that mental chivo.
Yeah.
What is the grind that you are pushing yourself through now? What's the reward for that going to be for you?
So the normal grind in D2 is, max out your light level, or your power level. That's the base goal. That's your first objective, for pretty much any content. Whether that's a raid or PvP, you want to, level up to max light. Not as much impact in PvP, of course, but it's still there. The secondary objective is to get the weapons you want, or armor that have the perks and whatnot. Now, of course, that's been stifled some in D2 because there's no random rolls, so you don't have that much grind for that. You just have to get that particular piece of equipment. Right now, what I'm grinding for is essentially nothing more than bragging rights. The moments of triumph, I've talked about this a little bit. It's the annual list of objectives to basically say you did everything in the game for that year. It typically consists of beating all the story content, getting doing certain other side quests that aren't necessarily story content but are there. This year, the big things that are hurting is that there is get rank 50 with the Vanguard, which are strikes, and get, I want to say, rank 30 with the Crucible guy, which is much easier to get. And I've already got it from all the PvP I do. But strikes are a waste of time, aside from the Nightfall, which is probably where I hurt because I didn't do the Nightfall. If I was doing the Nightfall every week to get, those better drops, then it probably wouldn't be so bad. But those are 2 of the big ones. There's unlocking this ghost shell, the one I was talking about, I was working on earlier. Mm-hmm. And that's nothing more than a ghost shell that you get from it. And, you get weapons along the way, and some of them are decent. But the ghost shot at the end is nothing but a ghost. Ghosts are almost cosmetic. They have very little benefit. It'll be like, 10% more experience or 10% more money from a particular event or game mode, I should say.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else there is. There's a couple other things, but I think I already have them done. There's, find all the collectibles that are around the maps, which I can just sit down with a checklist and knock those out pretty much in one day if I wanted to. Yeah. Though I did start working on one of them, and it's one I talked about. It has like side quests in the middle or whatever. And actually, this is another one that would have them. Because I went around I got about 6 more of the collectibles, because that's all I was going to do was do those collectibles. And then I ran out of the items I need, which doesn't help. But then I got another side thing in the middle, and I'm like, am I stuck? Can I not do any more until I do this? But hopefully not, because it's escalation protocols, which are a type of public event thing, but it's much more difficult. And it's a lot harder to do with randoms. It's something I'd have to actually sit down and find a group to do, which I haven't done. I can probably knock that out this weekend with the raid when I do all the raids and stuff, but it's just another thing that has to, have a big group to do. And that's kind of what's hurting me this time, because I haven't been doing these things along the way. That's kind of a big part of it too. If you do weekly stuff, even just doing the weekly objectives, you're typically going to have most of the triumphs knocked out. But I've had no desire because of the way they changed the system. Yeah. The milestones are the only way I can level, and those get so repetitive, and now I can't even level up with the milestones because they have a cap on them, which is stupid. So it's really hurting. Really hurting.
Let me ask this another way.
Okay.
Again, using 14 as example. Let's say you just started 14 today and you didn't pick up the potion or whatever to make you level 60.
Yeah.
If you were looking at the first set of raids, the first Binding Coil of Isaac raids, Jesus Christ, the Binding Coil of Isaac? Wow, that's too... So yeah, fuck Bahamut. We're just bringing in a whole new game. That's the fucking title for the episode right there. The Binding Coil of Isaac. How did I do that?
I don't know.
I guess there's binding in it. That's my excuse. So, God, my wife's going to hear that and go, wow, really? So if I'm looking at the Binding Coil of Bahamut, the first, I think there's 5 in the first tier. I'm saying, wow, those raids look cool. I want to do those raids. People are going to go, wait, hold on. Number 1, you need to go through all of the content in the game to get to the correct level. And I may be wrong on this one, but just using it as an example, once you get all the story content done, which the story content completion unlocks the ability to get into the raid, you're going to have to grind for a while to get better gear and more levels to actually physically compete in the raid or participate in the raid. So once you're actually in the raid, in my mind, you're not grinding anymore. If you're in the raid, you're progressing. It'll kind of feel like you're grinding because you're beating your head against the wall through the various phases. But for me, grinding is I have to get from level 1 to level 60. I have to go through these dungeons over and over. I got to do all my dailies all the time. I basically have to do these quests and dungeons and whatnot to get experience to increase my levels and then increase my levels to get to where I'm going. But once you're in the raid, you're just progressing. You're beating your head against the mechanics and trying to do better. So which of those two are you in the process right now? Are you physically grinding to a goal to get somewhere? Because to me, dude, if you're grinding and at the end of the grind, it's just, I did it. God, that hurts me even more. Ugh. Yeah. Are you grinding where you are, or are you beating your head against mechanics to finish it?
I'm grinding because I just have to do the things over and over. Yeah.
Oh, my heart.
I mean,
man.
I don't know. I mean, it's pretty much all grinding. So you have to grind to get drops for your light level to go up. I mean, that's still a grind. Right now, like I said, I'm grinding for essentially bragging rights. And
yeah,
the only reason I care about it is because I have it for the last 3 years, with D1. I have everything.
Yeah.
So not doing it now, it would be painful.
You said you're going to get some kind of drops out of this? Are you going to get like better gear? But even better looking gear would be cool. How are people going to know that you did it? That's what I'm getting at.
Typically there are what do you call them? Jesus, not shaders, but the emblems. There are emblems.
Okay.
The Solstice armor set is, very distinct, and it's kind of one way to have max power. Kind of a
cool
side way. I'm actually, all things considered, I'm not a huge fan of this method of getting max power, because the Solstice stuff was pretty easy to do.
Yeah,
as much as I, thought it was going to be a bad grind, when it was all said and done, my armor was 400 power in like a day and a half, which isn't long at all. If I was doing that in the raid, it would take weeks because of limited drops. If I was doing it in Iron Banner or, another thing, assuming they would actually go to cap, it would take me, at least a week or two. And they don't even go to cap anymore. So pretty much stuck to raiding Nightfall, which you can only do once a week. So this is a very cheap way to get to max light, which it is what it is. It's kind of nice in its own way. But I'm trying to think of what else there is. One of the things, I've never bought it, but doing at least a portion of the Triumph, Moments of Triumph, lets you buy a shirt for the year that you can only buy if you've done this. The top level goal, which I won't hit because I'm not going to do Solstice on everything. One of them is a ship. It's an exotic ship, which is cool. But I probably won't get that one. I'm trying to think of what actually is on the rest of them. I have the page up. Let me see. My next reward is a sparrow, which are the little hover bike things. I've already got the emblem. Yeah, I think the sparrow is my only next thing I have left to get. I've already gotten the ghost and the sparrow, or not the sparrow, but the emblem. And the emblem says what your triumph score was. So, and this is something new. The previous ones didn't really have, I don't think they did. They may have, and I didn't pay attention. But on the emblem, it actually says, up to 400, how many points you have towards the Moments of Triumph. 400 being the max. So I'm sitting at 275 out of 400 right now. I could knock out another 100 easy, or another 75 pretty easy. It's that last 75 or so that's going to be rough.
Yeah.
So yeah, just bragging rights.
I just hate to hear that you're grinding it through and you're suffering, man. I feel you.
Yeah.
Believe me, I feel you.
And it's not like, I don't enjoy playing the game. I do. It's just what I'm doing while I'm playing sucks. Strikes suck. I hate strikes.
Right.
I literally only do them when I need to for weekly milestones. And even that I didn't always do. Sometimes I would just do the PvP and that'd be it for my week. I wouldn't touch strikes because they are very repetitive, and for them to be worth it, you have to do the higher difficulty ones. Well, because it's higher difficulty, the way they work is they have modifiers. So your melee damage may do more, but enemies do more against you. So you basically get one shot if you get in melee range of an enemy. That's not fun. They actually took out one of the strikes because the modifiers made it almost impossible to do. So it takes the fun out of strikes, but then grinding the normal ones. First off, I don't even think they counted for the weekly milestone. I haven't looked to see if it specifically says heroic, but they don't even count, so there's no point in doing them. Heroics drop better gear, so once you're past the first soft cap, there's no point in doing the normal ones. So it's if it was and Iron Banner's Crucible. I'm going to get a little tired of Iron Banner, but at least it's not as boring because, there's a lot more, there's a lot more thought to it. You're actually going against other people, so you're, having to think about what you're doing. Strike, it's like, all right, shoot the enemy, move up, shoot the enemy, move up. All right, what's this boss's mechanics? All right, let's try. Oh, we died. Let's try again. We died. Okay, 10 minutes later, hey, we finally beat it. Great. I got nothing worthwhile. Let's do it again because that's, what I have to do for this objective.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I'd much rather play Crucible than Strikes any day of the week, even when I hate it and I'm sucking at it. At least it's more to it, more fun. Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, thankfully, because I gather what you were getting at, Destiny 2 was not the only thing your week was consisting of.
No, I actually played very little of it. I think I got about 4.5 hours total. Or, no, that was a different game. Probably about the same. I think I got a total of like 6 hours of Destiny 2 before I couldn't take it anymore. And then I decided to play some more Graveyard Keeper. Okay. I may have been a little hard on the game last week. I'm up to 29 hours on the game. I don't know what I was last week. But I think I've probably put about 20 hours into it since then. The iron bottleneck is rough. It did get better after I got past that point. I'm actually to the point where I can easily get so much, and it's one of those cases where, again, if I'd done things in a certain order, wouldn't have been as big of a deal. If I'd found certain things before, wouldn't have been as big of a deal. It's just my particular circumstances made that really suck.
Yeah.
I mentioned some concern about it kind of having that, once you get past the bottleneck, you're going to be done with, most of the stuff there is to do.
Yeah.
Not really the case. I got over the iron bottleneck. I got kind of pretty much past the blue experience or points, whatever they are called, blue points. I got past that bottleneck. That one took some more time, but it wasn't as grindy as the iron was. It made sense. I was like, okay, well, I can do this and this to do it. I can spend some money to make it go faster. I felt like I had more options, even though there was really a lot of, not many options at the time that I knew of. But I got through that, and then it's like, okay, well, now what do I want to do, And it kind of opens up after a point where, all right, well, which approach do you want to make or, use? Do I go for focusing on the church, focusing on the prayers in the church, focusing on the graveyard itself, making it better? Do I focus on my smithing? Do I focus on my carpentry? Do I focus on alchemy for the bodies for the graveyard? Because that's a whole aspect of it that there are whole aspects of the game I still haven't touched, even though I have them unlocked. Just because I have to dedicate the time to either gather materials, spend energy, or do something to accomplish that. Like you can, surprise, surprise, embalm bodies, right? You inject them with stuff and they have different effects. Well, to get that fluid, you have to break down certain materials. To get ingredients, powder, extract, and fluid are the three categories of, and one item may give you all three. One item may give you one of the three, of a particular type. Like, for example, there's life essence, essentially. So there's a life extract, a life powder, and a life solution. That's the other one. That's the fluid one I said. So there may be one item that gives me two of the three. Like I can break down cabbages, I think, and that'll give me life powder. Or I can get the life extract, but I can't get the fluid, I don't think, or the solution rather. So you kind of have to get all these materials. Some of them aren't bad. Some of them are easy. But that takes, time dedication to do them. I can, working on the graveyard, I need bodies, right, to bury. And then I can upgrade those graves and make them look pretty, and everybody's happy. Well, to get more bodies, I have to have carrots for the donkey, because the donkey brings me my bodies, and he won't bring me bodies if I don't feed him carrots. So now I have to garden. Okay, well, what do I need to garden? I need seeds. Okay, where do I get seeds? I have to go buy them. Well, what if I don't want to buy them? Well, I have to buy them to start with, harvest them, and use fertilizer to actually get enough seeds back to replant. Because you always get some seeds back, but you may get like one per plant when it costs you 4 seeds to plant one. So you're only getting a quarter of what you need back. But if you use fertilizer, you'll get like 6 seeds each, which is way better, You're actually increasing the amount you can plant. But to get the fertilizer, you have to break down other things to get the fertilizer, So it's like, okay, where are my priorities at? What should I be doing? So there have been multiple times while I'm playing this, I go, okay, I have too much to do. What should I focus on? And then I start doing it, and I'm like, this wasn't the right idea. All right, let me reassess. I got some more points. Can I unlock any research? Can I make this easier on myself? Are there any buildings I need to build, or workstations, I should say, not buildings? Are there any workstations I need to build to make this easier on me? All right, what do those take? What materials? All right, I've got all the wood I need. I got all the iron I need. I got the simple iron tools, the complex iron tools, or whatever they are. All right, I can build stuff. That part of it's good. I just need to know what to build. So yeah, it's a constant. All right, well, I need to do this, but I need to do 3 other things to be able to do that. And, it's a never-ending cycle. Never-ending, but it obviously has an end. But 29 hours in, and I've seen people actually reference endgame, which I think is odd for a game like this. I think I am using those terms. I am in mid to late game. I have quite a bit I can do. See, the difference is I have tons of stuff I could do. I have tons of research unlocked. I've unlocked a lot. I did some grinding just to be able to unlock research, for this reason or that. But I'm not using that research, or I have other things I need to do first. I just unlocked it because I'm going to do it eventually. So research wise, I'd say I'm in late game. But if you actually look at my graveyard and my little base thing, house, yard, whatever you want to call it, I'm probably mid. So, I have plenty of stuff I can do still, but I'm enjoying it.
That's what I was gonna get at, and ask and then get at was that it's great that all this multitasking is going on, but I'm not hearing you say this with disdain. I'm not hearing you say like, "Oh, it's just too much." It's more like it seems like you're enjoying the challenge of multitasking.
Yeah, it's a different type of game. This game gets a lot of comparisons to Stardew Valley because of how it looks. It very much looks like Stardew Valley. Some of the mechanics are even similar when you come to like stamina and whatnot. But when you're actually playing it, it's so different, gameplay wise. Aside from the obvious differences, graveyard versus farming, there are huge differences in how you play the game. Stardew Valley is much more straightforward. You have a kind of set list of objectives to accomplish. Whereas Graveyard Keeper, it's like, all right, you've got these 15 things you can do. Which one do you want to do? Okay, well, to do that, you have to do all these other things, So it's a much more convoluted progression path, if you will. There are times where it annoys me. I'm not going to say it's all rainbows and sunshine. I have gotten annoyed where I'm like, oh, great, I just unlocked this, but I didn't know I needed to do all this other crap, so I guess I won't do it, But there's plenty of other stuff I can do, if I don't want to do that, go through the effort for that at the moment. I I'm not a fan of the farming, like I said, with the seeds and stuff. I get that as you do better with the fertilizer, you're going to get stuff back. But the fertilizer is so expensive in its own right, because you have to do other stuff to get it. I don't even remember what the ingredients are for it offhand, but I think part of it uses body parts. So you have to do bodies to get the body parts. And to get body parts, you have to sacrifice your body's condition to get those. So it's like, okay, well, yeah, I want to do this, but my graveyard needs upgrading. That's a main part of the game is get your graveyard to looking this good. And especially when I'm like over halfway to my objectives, like have a quality of 200 on the graveyard. I passed 100. I think I'm at like 120 now, which is really good for me, at least in my eyes. So I'm like, all right, I don't want to sacrifice bodies because I'm making so much progression. I've unlocked the research to make these headstones and grave fences that give me like 5 or 6 each. I can get so much stuff if my bodies are at high quality. Because I mentioned this before, the maximum quality on a grave is determined by the condition of the body. So my bodies right now are 6 to 8, skulls, which are quality, 6 to 8 maximum on them. So being able to do these, 6 quality headstones, sure, I can only use a headstone. I don't need a, grave fence, but I'm kind of wasting that opportunity there. If I take these parts out of a body I need and drop it down to, -4, that's -4. That's, I can cancel it out to 0 in a grave, but I get no benefit from that. It's just taking up a spot. I can burn them and they won't take a spot, but that's also the equivalent of adding 0 to the graveyard. Either way, I'm not progressing in that side of it. That's kind of what I've looked at as my main objective is the graveyard right now. But I can't do that if I'm sacrificing bodies elsewhere. I actually had to put a halt on it because I'm like, okay, I can't afford to keep grinding these carrots. I'm not going to keep paying for them, which I could probably go back and reassess that now. I made a gold at this point, which is a lot of money in the game. Because you start out getting literally coppers at a time, 1 or 2. But because I progressed to where I have, my graveyard has the quality it has. I get like 10 plus silver every Sunday when I do my little prayer thing, which is awesome.
Nice.
That's so much money. I'm up to over a gold now, like I said, and a gold is 100 silver, not 10, like 10 coppers to a silver. It's 100 silver to a gold. So I have so much money now. So I could go afford, and I probably should now go get more carrots so I can do more bodies. It also got to the point where I didn't care about the bodies because I was getting so overwhelmed by them. It was like, I felt like as soon as I got done with one, okay, here's another. But if you stop paying the donkey, you kind of get this interlude where the bodies aren't just going to sit and rot in the cellar because I'm off mining or something. I actually took the time to go grind iron, which is, I say grind, it's not much of a grind. I spent like basically 1 or 2 game days and I had more iron than I knew what to do with. Same thing for stone. I needed it for grave markers and whatnot. So I just spent a game day. That one wasn't even 2 iron, more than 1 because of how much it takes. But this, I was like, all right, I'll just go grind out, basically a day's worth of stone. All right, I'm set on stone for a long time. And I was also using that to grind out blue points, because building, polishing stone for use in grave stuff, but just the act of polishing it gave me a blue point. So I was like, okay, I'll grind out 25 of those to unlock a new research. Oh, what, I'm 4 short? Oh, let me go polish 4 stones. All right, good. So it was nice not getting the body so I could go do all the other side stuff I wanted to do. I do think I'm kind of at the point where I can have those bodies coming back in, and not feel like I'm being stretched too thin. Because bodies will decay if they're just sitting there without having anything done to them. And that lowers the quality, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, I'm up to 29 hours in the game now. I'm having more fun than I was last week. But it's one of those games, if you're going in blind, be prepared to maybe hit some annoying points because things are not in the order you expect them to be, or you don't foresee happening. Yeah. So the last game for me to talk about is the one I just played some of yesterday, and that's Stardew Valley.
Oh wow, nice.
Because I've almost 100% the game on single player, but I played multiplayer yesterday. Tried it out with the family. It's such a fun little game. It's so much less stressful than Graveyard Keeper was. So when I went from Graveyard Keeper to it, I'm like, wow, this is nothing. Sure, you want me to go catch this particular fish? You got it. I'll go fish. It's just it's night and day. There's so many differences between the games when you've played them both. Even though they look visually the same, or similar, I should say, not the same. Mechanically, it's way different. But yeah, so multiplayer is interesting. One of the neat features about multiplayer is when you create the multiplayer game, you actually choose what the income modifier is. So if you're playing with 4 people, you have, 4 times the manpower. So you can actually make crops and stuff worth a quarter of their worth if you want to kind of make it even. We left ours at 1 per 1, so we're making as much money as I would in single player, and 2 to 4 of us. We haven't played with 4 players; there are only 3. But if there were 4 of us playing, then we'd make quite a bit of money. Like fishing in the game with 2 people fishing, that's so lucrative. It's so much better than actually farming. Whereas farming in single player is pretty much the way to go. Once you get your farm up and going, that's going to be your main income. But the multiplayer makes it to where you can kind of pick what you want to do easier. You don't have to focus on crops for money. You can just go fish. There are mechanically the host of the game, which never changes. It's always the same person as the host. The host determines a lot of stuff. The host is the only one that can do certain things. Like there are events that happen and they'll be triggered by talking to a particular NPC, but only the host can do that as the leader of the game. I can understand why. It's just one of those things, you have to get used to. Like, I'm not playing the host. My girlfriend is, because she started the game before me. We hopped on just to test the multiplayer and see what we need to do to connect to each other's game. But then I left because I was playing something else. And she progressed a little bit. And then I hopped back in. And she had done a little bit, but then she had actually done very little farming. In a game about farming, I know. But when I was about to hop in, I was like, all right, what do I need to do? She's like, set up the farm. I was like, okay.
Wow.
Sure. I guess, okay. So I did that. We, earned some money from fishing and doing some quests and, selling basically anything we could to get enough money for seeds. And I planted a farm once we got enough money, spent, all of her money, because money's shared, by the way, in the game. There's no individual pools. So I spent all our money to set the farm up, earned it back, an in-game week later, and, now we have income, and renewable income, I should say. And we're kind of, we're still very early game. When I say she had progressed very little, I mean she progressed very little. She did more of the combat stuff and the mines and whatnot in comparison to farming or upgrading equipment and stuff. So we still have tons of upgrades. We're still almost exclusively on the first tier of tools. When I load the game back up, I need to go collect my new watering can. It's now tier 2. Woo. Because I'm doing all the farming, so I need a better watering can. But yeah, so the game, even though I played it so much before, Not only has it been long enough where it's not really a big deal to go back to it, but doing multiplayer and just playing with someone else, that always changes a game up, you know. Having the other person there makes the game so much different. So I'm having fun with it. That's when I was talking about. I put 4.5 hours into it yesterday. And I'm sure we'll play it some more. And I don't mind, you know, I hadn't played it before because I wanted to get more into Graveyard Keeper. I want to get more into Destiny 2. But I've been putting it off and I felt kind of bad. So I was like, all right, let's play some, you know, Stardew Valley together. And I don't regret it. It's kind of nice to have that change from the grinding and Graveyard Keeper and the convolutedness and the grinding of Destiny 2 and just being able to go mess around on Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
I think that's about it for my week. I have a couple of things code related I've got in my mind, but I haven't actually done any of it yet. Maybe I'll have something to talk about on that next week. I think that's about it for my week.
Well, mine's relatively short. I've only been playing one game this entire week, and that's continuing my escapades in Persona 4.
Okay.
I know Chris hasn't played that game yet, and of course I would like to keep as much of this spoiler free for him and for the audience as well, so there's not a lot of harsh details I want to get into. Also, I have not been taking notes while playing this game. I've just been playing it, enjoying it. Let's see. Again, the biggest takeaway so far for me still is that the feel of the game, while not exactly the same, I still have that Persona 4 feeling. It's
Persona 5
genuinely
feeling?
Persona 5 feeling. It's genuinely making me curious about, I'm already thinking in my head when I finish this one how long it's going to take me before I get into Persona 3, because I want to see how different that one is.
Yeah.
Will I go all the way back to the original? Who knows, man? I've also looked into the Shin Megami Tensei part, the Digital Devil Saga part of the Shin Megami Tensei series. And, I might check those out. I think I remember reading that there were some good ones in that one as well. But who knows how far my Persona fingers are gonna stick out. I don't know just yet. Right now, I'm playing through this one, and yeah. So, I did finally go to the Velvet Room, which, it's not it's necessarily a spoiler for this one, but for those who have played Persona 5, if you haven't, you need to go play that now. If you have not, if you have not, go play it now. If you have, you remember the Velvet Room in Persona 5 was basically a prison. In this one, it seems like it's pretty much a limousine. Every time you go to the Velvet Room, you're in a limousine. I'm pretty sure it rides around. But the idea of the Velvet Room is still the same from Persona 5 that I remember anyway. You're talking to Igor, you're trying to get your personas, you're managing your personas there. You're managing the 2 or 3 persona fusion is still there. The compendium is still there. It's still the idea of when you get a new persona, you can, or you've leveled up another persona that you already have, you can take it to the compendium and have it registered. That way you can pretty much pay to get that again if you need it, which is good for many, many reasons. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there wasn't really much different about the Velvet Room that I could tell. The skills, they come as you level, which that was part of Persona 5. The mixing and matching, I think it's almost kind of works the same. If you can take 2 persona, you can mix them together, and I don't know, I haven't gone that far into it to see if there's like a way to determine if you can see what. I hear Dante over there telling me to start the party. Damn right, Dante. Fuck yeah, you're topical. We're talking about you today. I think that there was something I remembered in Persona 5 where you could basically see what potential skill you could get from a fusion. And this one, I think I'm going to say it does not do that, but I could be wrong. Most of my skills have been pretty easy to follow through. There's a couple changes in how they do, like there's like the chance that you will get a skill.
Yeah.
From a fusion. There's also a chance that you can get a skill from, when does this happen? Let's see. I'm trying to remember exactly how this happens. I think so you're in a battle, you finish the battle, you get your XP, you get your gold. And the main way that I can tell that you actually get other persona is you have a random chance at I think it's called a draw or something like that. It's like a shuffle, I think is what it's called. And it'll have on screen various amounts of cards. It'll be 6, 9, 4, 20, something. And those cards will all be flipped over and they will show you what are on those cards. And they're going to be either a persona of some type. It's going to be a null, which is nothing, like you get nothing at all, or a penalty, which means that all the XP and gold you were going to get, you don't get. So you can tell it. You can tell the game, yes, I do or do not want to participate in this shuffle thing.
Okay.
If you tell it yes, the cards all flip upside down and they begin to shuffle across the screen. And you click your X button to say stop. And whatever card you land on is the card you get. Again, being a persona, nothing at all, or a penalty. That is from what I can tell, from what I've experienced so far, that is the way that you acquire persona in this game. Now that's different from Persona 5. Persona 5, you basically try to woo them or you try to talk to them and coerce them to join your side. This is almost random chance. I think this is what people were talking about as the frustration point where random that I'll get a persona, screw that. Yeah. I haven't found too much of an issue for this simply because of the amount of battles I get into, and every third, if not every other battle, I get a shuffle. That's one positive point. The second, with extremely rare chances, I've only seen this happen once or twice. There are times the cards move relatively slow. They shuffle around and they all shuffle in like the same pattern. So you'll have one card that's basically going in and out of your vision from upper right to lower left. It just goes around in a big ring. Mm-hmm. And it should only take you about 10-ish shuffle instances to tell about where you should press your button to land on that card. So if you're keeping a good visual line of sight on that card and you've got the timing down when to press the button, you're going to get good enough to get the card you want almost every time. There are a couple rare exceptions where they just shuffle and they spin these fucking cards like crazy. So it's fairly impossible to keep up with where the cards are. I've only had that happen twice. And there were also I don't know, something like 15 different cards on there. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I was kind of fucked either way.
Yeah.
But I can see how that can be a drawback, a draw to it, a push away from the game. But me, it hasn't been a big problem. It felt kind of like, wow, this is different. Again, it is different from Persona 5, but it wasn't a deal breaker for me.
Yeah.
There's also a chance that after you get whatever card it is, that will be another card situation. This will be one specific card, and they will show you the card. It's like an Arcana chance or something like that. That card, every single card in the Arcana line has a certain type of benefit or detriment. Every Arcana affects something. This Arcana will affect the luck of the level. This Arcana will affect how powerful enemies of the level. This Arcana will affect you getting your SP. This Arcana will affect your AP, so on and so forth. And again, it will tell you, hey, you've got this Arcana. Now, you do what I do and just cheat. Just look up a fucking guide to tell you what card it is, because it doesn't tell you. It'll just tell you that it's this Arcana. And it's going to take you a lot of Arcana cards and physically taking notes for you to remember, okay, that's the blank Arcana. That's going to affect my blank blank. You know, I just look up a guide. Fuck it, I don't care. So it'll pop that card up, and it will say, hey, it's got this death card. We're going to flip this card around in a circle, and it's going to either land straight up or straight down. If it's straight up, you're going to get the benefit of whatever that manipulates. If it lands upside down, you're going to get the detriment. So, for example, the death card, I think I've got this right. I could have the details wrong, but the death card, if it lands right side up, you get all of your SP recovered, which is great, Chris. You know that. You always want to get SP in a level.
Of course.
The downside to that card is you lose all your HP down to 1. Now, to me, that doesn't mean a damn bit of anything because I'll just use items to get all my hit points back, and I've got all my SP back. Yay.
Yeah.
If that card flips upside down, the opposite, you keep all your HP, or you max out your HP, but you lose all but 1 SP. So those are random. I think that there are certain arcanas that can affect abilities. I've had this happen several times, that they will make a persona either gain by changing or just flat out losing and getting a weaker version of a skill. So, like, you'll have some arcana that affects fire, and it'll say, hey, if you get the positive, we're going to take this weaker arcana, with this weaker fire spell skill and turn it into the stronger fire skill. This is very meta. This is not something you're really got to worry with, because again, if you don't want either of those cards, if you don't want to do the shuffle thing, you don't have to take it. You can tell it no, and it'll say, okay, cool. Not worried about it. A good example of that is if you already have all the persona that are on the screen. You know, if it's showing 2 persona that you already have, there's no point. There's no benefit to HP and SP or experience or gold. So fuck it. I don't want to deal with it. And then if the second card situation pops up again, you can tell it, nope, I don't want to deal with any of that. A couple ones that have come to mind, the HP and SP is one. There's been one where your chance for you having a preemptive attack on enemies increases greatly, and the inverse is the opposite, where the enemies will usually have a preemptive. There's one for powerful enemies. I can't remember. Well, yeah, actually, yes, I do. If you remember, Chris, in Persona 5, that you would have enemies on the screen, but if you saw like a bigger, like brightly colored, like lit up enemy, usually that was a more powerful leveled version of that enemy. Same thing here. So you have these little physical representations of the enemies on the screen, but if you see one that's glowing, like almost multicolored, that's a powerful bad boy. So you'll have a card that you'll flip over and it'll be like, yeah, we've removed all the most powerful enemies from the level, or we've increased the amount of powerful levels. Me, I like when I get increased because that's more battles, more XP, that's a potential for better cards, etc., etc. So
yeah, I can see that.
That's a brief rundown of how the personas and the whole random shit works in this one. Again, it is different. It is different Persona 5, but it's not such a grand departure that I'm like, I don't understand this persona system. Especially once you do get the persona and then you go to the Velvet Room. I mean, you're right back at home. Once you get a persona from a card, again, so many of the same rules. Once you get the persona, you have the persona in your deck, and you can use that persona.
Yeah.
If you are only allowed 8 persona, and you have 8, and you get the card or persona you want, it'll say, hey, you've got too many, you gotta let one go, and you just tell one to go. Typically, I'll do that if I have the same arcana, but this one is a higher class or a higher level. Like, you know, if I have, you get the idea.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what else. The story is still, I mean, it's still a big murder mystery for me, so I'm digging that. It's going places. You still have characters that come into the story, and you know, you have to help them through their troubles or figure out where they fit in the grand scheme of things. have had a variety of enemies. I've definitely had so I can definitely see how people who would look at this game from the outside, and the same kind of goes for Persona 5. I mean, damn, if you look at Kamoshida's boss battle alone, you're like, whoa, what? Why is that guy in fucking underwear and a fucking king's coat? Like, what's going on? Yeah, you're going to get some of that in Persona 4 as well. But again, all of it fits into the context. This is something I thought about in Persona 5. I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but taking a complete left turn here, folks. Bear with me. Stick in the car with me. Something that Silent Hill is known for, a big trope of Silent Hill, is that Silent Hill is fictional, and it only manifests when there's like a real deep personal struggle with a person. That person then goes to Silent Hill and faces all these manifestations of basically their inner demons in one way, shape, or form. And Silent Hill is built around their problems and their issues, etc., etc. That is basically what Persona is in just an RPG form. I recall this from Persona 5 a lot. I mean, they were dealing with their own, you had their persona, you had them in real life, but there was another side to them or something else that had to be worked out with them in the Persona world.
Yeah.
Same thing in Persona 4, man. Same thing. You run across people and they are having these personal struggles and they have manifestations of different things about them, and you're trying to help them. You're trying to make their life better. So that big overarching theme carries backwards into Persona 4 for me.
All right.
Weapon system works the same. You know, you can find different parts and materials throughout the world, and you bring them back to a shopkeeper. You sell them, and he goes, "Hey, I can make better armor and weapons now." Cool. You can find things and sell them to him to make money. Items work the same way, like any other RPG. You buy items and you use them. She will increase her item type over time, so you'll get better and better items to heal with and cure illnesses with, etc., etc. The social link system, still there, folks. It's the same thing basically that I remember from Persona 5. You know, you have different social links with a variety of characters, of course, mainly being your party members, and then that you increasing the social link, which is basically how closer you are, how many quests you do with that person, as your social link with that, as your friendship basically increases with them, it increases the experience you get for your persona, and also means that whenever you make that persona, they get XP boost. It's more beneficial.
Yeah.
All these characters have their storylines that you go through quest by quest. There's all that still there. A lot of meaty storylines and in-depth one-on-one character interaction and storytelling. So, trying to think of anything else that sticks out. There's just it's good. It's keeping me through so far. It does not. Of course, we're talking about 2 generations old, and the fact that I was completely just left hand hooked from Persona 5. This game, a lot of the surprises aren't there. Again, you're gonna feel a lot of beat for beat stuff when the first couple hours. You're gonna be like, yep, this is how it goes. Yep, this is gonna happen. That's gonna happen. But it's the comfort of it that appeals to me the most. You know, it's not so jarring. Like Persona 5 was not it was an improvement rather than a jarring change. You know?
Sure.
So I'm falling right back into Persona 4 easy peasy. Another interesting take about this game is that I feel I've only really noticed this on the mission that I'm on right now. I think I'm either 3 or 4. I want to say, we'll say dungeons, palaces, basically, for, you know, people that play Persona 5. It's basically the dungeon type things that you're going through. I'm in the 3rd or the 4th right now, and it has this kind of unique thing where you have to basically go around the areas, the town, the school, the riverside, all that, and you have to find clues to bring them back to the person in the Persona style world in order to progress, to actually unlock the level. I think that was kind of done in Persona 5, so I don't know if that's actually new, but that's pretty cool for me. That's very, I'm having strong RPG centric vibes from that. You know, hey, you should go talk to everybody. You know, that's basically what it is. Yeah. And I like that, you know. It's nice to be guided in some games, you know, but it's also nice to just every now and again go back to that. It's not to the level to where it's annoying. You know,
sure.
There is an annoying level where you're like, are you fucking kidding me? I literally had to talk to everybody. I went 4 towns away and talked to this random NPC. It's not to that level. Mm-hmm. The areas that I can visit right now, there's only a handful. And I mean, if I was putting a random number on the total NPCs I can even talk to, it may be like 50. So sure. If I go through one area and can't figure out, you know, nobody, they will slowly, the more people you talk to, you will slowly be guided to where you think you should be going next anyway. It's not, you know, it's helpful. It makes it plays into the detective aspect of this, which is what they're trying to do. You know, they're trying to play, you know, detectives outside of the police department. So, I feel like maybe I'm blowing through this because I'm 33 hours into it. And again, I'm on the 3rd or 4th palace, so to speak, already. But I am not rushing my content. So I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm just so used to how everything works. I've only really ground out a couple times. The grinding kind of works the same way as Persona 5. You know, you're gonna open up a palace, essentially. And then you're going to go in and you're usually going to run out of SP. That's going to be your first blockade. Mm-hmm. But you're going to be able to progress, you know, level by level by level by level. And you're either going to make it to the boss area and go, nope, I am not equipped. I've got to leave and rest. Or you're going to get 2, 3, 4 levels in and run out of SP and leave. And the same way that I did in Persona 5, I'm doing it here. You know, you can just hang out in those last couple levels and grind and grind and grind because the more powerful enemies are there, and then you're good to go. You leave, you rest, and you come back in. There is a way to predict, just like in, I think in Persona 5, they usually had like storyline deadlines. I don't think they were always the same thing. In Persona 5, it's usually the same type of deadline. The deadline is tied somehow narratively into the time frame. They use fog as a stop. You know, hey, you need to rescue this person from the Persona world by the time that we have like 2 straight days of fog. Well, you can look on the weather system and see, like, you know, we're going to have so many days of rain, and yeah, you've got plenty of time. You'll get a mental gauge of how many days you have in game to get the shit done. So again, it's there. It's a little, in Persona 5, it was easier because you could pull up a calendar and then click on the day and go, yep, this is the deadline. This is when this person is going to do this thing, and you've got to get it done before then. This game, you got to take it back a few steps. You can only look at the weather 7 days at a time. And they will tell you that you're going to have like so many days of rain in a row. And then after that is when the fog will come in. You just kind of have to think about it. It's all it is.
Yeah.
I haven't pushed anything to the wire yet. I've done a really good job of going into, even the couple times I ground out levels. You know, I've done a really good job, just like P5, of going in, grinding out a couple days, and then, you know, spending about 4, 5, 6 days, whatever, doing social links.
Yeah.
I feel, and again, I'm still early in the game. One thing, this is kind of touching base on what you said earlier about feeling overwhelmed. The more you progressed in Persona 5, the more overwhelmed that you got. There was a fucking magnitude of shit to do in the day, where it seemed like every part of the day you were cursed with the amount of choices, the things to do. You know, do I want to go to the diner? Do I want to go eat a burger? Do I want to go read? Do I want to go study? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Okay, morning is done. Time for the afternoon now. Oh shit, what do I want to do? Do I want to go hang out with this person? Do I want to go do this arcade thing? Do I want to go to the diner? You still have that in Persona 5. And again, I'm only saying this because it's early, but thankfully, I don't have that many choices. I guess also because I've already gone through the rigmarole of P5, I'm really good now at scheduling what I want to do and when I want to do it. And I don't feel like I'm losing out. You know, I felt that I got better at that with Persona 5, like about halfway through the game. I got really good at managing time, and that's when I really started to get good at grinding out my social links and grinding out my personal stats. Excuse me. And this one, I have like of the 3 things that I can do 3 things in the morning as opposed to 15, you know? So I've got a really good idea of what I want to do and how I want to do it. I think that's helping me with my time management.
Yeah.
Any questions about P4, Chris? Anything you're interested in to know about?
I don't think so. I've already heard enough that I want to go play it. So there's not much more to ask, you know, at that point. It's just like, all right, well, I'm just going to go play it.
Yeah.
It sounds like more of, you know, the fun of P5. So, I mean, what else do you need to know? You like P5?
Right.
Go play P4? Okay. Sold.
Yep. And again, also just, the graphics are not going to be the same, of course. Sure. But it doesn't matter. They fit. Everything is stylized in its own way. It's all in the same game, and it still has catchy music. Like I've caught myself at work humming the music, and hey, that was all I was doing with P5. I had so many music tracks stuck in my head, and this one's doing the same thing. Designed very, very well, and yeah. Again, man, this makes me very curious about the whole entire Shin Megami Tensei series period. Like, if all the games are like this, man, this is a series that Jesus, I can't believe I slept on for so long.
Yeah.
To the point of it. I can't believe I've forgotten this on P5, but I think in P5 there was, when you were on basically the overworld map, there was a little icon that you moved around. When you moved around to different sections, that icon moved. That is also back in P4, and the way that little icon looks, I remember that from the, hour that I played Persona 1 on the PlayStation. I was like, damn, did that carry over that far? I wonder how much else has carried over this far, you know? Yeah. It may be old as shit, I'll give you that, but damn, if all the Persona games are like this, shit.
Yeah, I mean, and
you're basically telling me I've got to step back on the graphics and music, that's okay, but you're basically telling me I'm getting more of this Persona story style, so we'll see how far I go.
Yeah, I mean, and I said, okay, you know, I want to go play P4. Well, in reality, I'm probably going to go play P1 first. Because I have it sitting about 20 feet away from me. Wow. All I got to do is, you know, drop it either into my PC and load up on emulator, or, you know, bust out the old PlayStation. But I could play it easily. And I'm really feeling like I should. The only reason I haven't is just because the other games I have to play right now. That's probably the only reason.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. I'm enjoying it. I'm still playing through it. I'm still going to play through it until I either get bored or I beat it, and I don't see myself getting bored just yet. I really, the last time that I felt really good was the dungeon before this one, because I was at an adequate level, and I was like, here we go. I'm going to go in this dungeon. I get to see new enemies. I get new persona. I get to progress. I get to see how many levels I can go up before, and I was like, hey, I'm in this. I'm all the way in this. This is great. If Persona 5 is a 10, Persona 4 is like a fucking 8.5 or a 9. I mean, if you're taking into the context of the game it is, the time frame it came out, you know, and just getting the general feel of the game. Again, this is not, you know, they didn't change the system from what I can tell going backwards. So looking forwards, it seems like, you know, if you played P4, when you went to P5, it blew your mind just because the improvements, not the game changed to a first-person shooter, you know, just upgraded graphics, more stylized, just adding more of that fucking Persona flavor to it. You know? So it's good stuff. I'm pretty sure. I mean, there was, I guess I could just cause it's, fuck it. Why not talk about it? I got into a little binge the last few days about going through YouTube and looking up live concerts of music bands from my age group. So I'm 36. Back when I was in high school, this was like the late 90s, early 2000s. That was like a core music time frame for my life. So, like the Family Values tour, that's a prime example. All those bands like Korn, Limp Bizkit, Rammstein, Orgy, Rage Against the Machine, Slipknot, Incubus, and a bunch of other ones I've just forgotten about. Like I got Metallica and Prime and the most important band of my life. Jesus. I was just looking at all these live concerts. Now, I want people to understand this is not me like living vicariously through YouTube as far as concerts go. Okay, when I watch two best friends do a Let's Play of Detroit, for example, I'm living vicariously through them because I don't want to buy the game and I like their commentary. This is more like, oh man, I never got to go to that Family Values concert. Oh, that's pretty cool. Man, I love this. I love that band. That was fucking awesome. I bet that was fun. I went to concerts back in my time, but, it was just a fun little trip down nostalgia lane for me, just seeing all these old bands. And a good example, to this day, I unironically love Limp Bizkit. I just want to put that out there, okay? I know that their popularity meter tanked for some reason, but I saw like 5 or 6 different like live concerts that they were at with hundreds of thousands of people in that crowd. And I'm like, man, people said they fucking hate this band, but damn, like, it's crazy. I think of them, when I think of them now, I think of Nickelback, of like, it seemed like people loved this band for a while, and then suddenly it became cool to bash on them. I don't know why.
I don't know.
I mean, again, that's just that's a band that was in my prime music time in high school. Like, and I'm sorry, you can hate the rock rap all you want to. I get it. I guess I get it. But when you saw Limp Bizkit in person, and I mean at a minimum, you saw fucking Wes Borland get on stage, and you're like, boy, I wonder what awesome fucking makeup or outfit he's got this time. And he looks fucking wicked as hell with the contacts in, the black body paint, and he's fucking thrash kicking everywhere with his bass guitar. Oh man, shit like that, that's awesome. Spread that across anything. Same thing with Slipknot, seeing them on stage, seeing Seven Dust on stage. Like, it was good stuff. It is some really good nostalgic times to watch those people. Chris, I think you said you saw Mindless Self-Indulgence like 67 times in your life? Live in concert?
Live in concert, I've seen them 3 times. 2 of which were, well, one of which was actually like 3 states away. I drove to visit a friend, but also to see Mindless Self-Indulgence. They actually had 2 nights they were playing there, but I only went to one of them. But yeah, I love MSI. I think I've seen them in New Orleans twice, and I saw them in Oklahoma once. It's such a. You introduced me to MSI, and it's still my favorite band to this day. Their style is just so out there. Their songs are so out there. But it's still good music, you know, even with their newer stuff, which doesn't sound anything like the older stuff, but it's still that MSI style. And then seeing that live.
When you grow with a band, you know. Yeah,
and then seeing them live is totally different.
Did I ever tell you how I got introduced to them?
I don't think so.
So, back in high school, this was probably 98, somewhere 98, 99. I was in I forget what those were called. I was in a masonry class. Remember you had all the different classes you could take masonry or carpentry or, electives like that. I was in a masonry class, and one of my friends I made a friend in there. And in that year, he got to be more outgoing than I ever could be. And he was going to a concert. I think he was a senior when I was a junior. And and he said he was going to New Orleans to, I want to say he went to the Family Values concert in New Orleans, or he went to just a Korn concert in New Orleans. He was the guy who introduced me to Korn. He he recorded from CD to a cassette tape. He recorded Life is Peachy for me, and then was nice enough later to go back and do the first album and the third, and he always gave me all my Korn music. Well, he was going to a Korn concert, and Korn was kind of a turning point in music for me. Like, my mainstay was Metallica. Anything and everything Metallica, and anything that they played on our local radio station down here that was kind of around there. When I started listening to Korn, like, I was like, wow, there's some new shit out there, man. And I got introduced to like Korn, and again, all those bands, Limp Bizkit, Rage, Orgy, I got just introduced to all these at the same time, popular or not. That's just how they came to me. Well, he was going to New Orleans for this Korn concert, and I couldn't go, and he was like, man, do you want to pick you up anything? And I didn't have a lot of money. I gave him like $15, and I was like, if you can get me something, that's fine. Well, he ended up being a cool fucking dude and spent like $40 extra and got me a Korn t-shirt, which was very fucking cool of him. I don't have that. I just lost that. That's been gone for years now. But he also got a free CD. He got 2 free CDs because the opening band for Korn that year was Mindless Self-Indulgence.
Wow.
I had never heard of this band before, ever. He had never heard this band before, ever. But he got to watch them play like 4 or 5 songs because they were opening for Korn. And they were handing out, they had like stacks of CDs just filled to the roof full, and they were just handing them out like crazy. Here you go, here you go. And it had excuse me again, it had 5-Year-Old Panty Shot, and I forget the other one. It had 2 songs on this disc, and that was it. And I was like, dude, this band, he's like, right, it's good shit. And I got Zombies Are Strangely Sexy sometime that year. And then
Frankenstein Girls will seem strangely sexy.
Yes, that's the one. So yeah, that's my little history for that one.
That was back in the day. So you got stuff from the Typed album.
Yes, and it was only 2 songs. It was Panty Shot and another one. I just forget what the other one was. Oh man, the fucking Ice Cube song. Oh, come on, man. They
Bring the Pain.
I came to bring the pain.
Yeah, Bring the Pain.
Yes, Bring the Pain and 5-Year-Old Panty Shot. That was my introduction to Mindless Self-Indulgence. Now, mind you, this was all outside of knowing all the weirdness of the band, like knowing the lead singer went by Urine. I was like, what? I found that out years later, and I was like, okay, whatever. The music's still good, man.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, it's a little trip down music lane. Man, we could definitely have a music podcast someday, I promise you. I got some music, man. I was in my own house, like, blaring Incubus and singing at the same time. I love Incubus. And again, all this music was, it seemed like in the mid to late 2000s, I just kind of sort of started to fall into music. Like, I would acquire it from, man, all kind of random places, like hearing it from commercials, or being in somebody's car and hearing it, or it being on a game soundtrack, or being surfing the web on like an image board, and they play like a WebM with music, and I would find those. But back in high school, it was predominantly like, you know, friends letting me borrow discs or cassette tapes, or mainly hearing it on the radio. So that's why a lot of core music from my time, while it's mainstay music, you know, it is Korn, yes, it is Rage Against the Machine, etc. It's mainly because that's the music that was played on this one station down here on the coast that, you know, kind of played that stuff. It was either that or country or oldies, or you know, my options were very limited. And I stopped listening to radio, years ago. I used to be pretty good about checking the radio out every now and again. Like, I'd wait for like 5 or 6 months and then go through a month-long stint of listening to the radio. That's why I would pick new music. But, man, my music just went fucking wild. Like, I didn't even need the radio anymore. I know when a new Breaking Benjamin album comes out, I want that music. So I don't really listen to the radio that much. Anyway, tangent off, music tangent off. It was just really cool to go back down that lane and hear all that music and see it live. And man, it's good times. Good times.
I've done that with a couple of MSI concerts. Looked at their videos live because I'll be looking for a particular song and there will be a live version. It's like, oh hell yeah,
oh yeah, oh yeah. Chris, you mentioned that there was something, some things you forgot about Gravekeeper.
Yeah. So last time I had mentioned that one of the frustrating things about the iron was that it was real time it took for it to, craft. And sleeping didn't really help. It helped more than I realized, but one thing that I really wanted to mention about the game is that they've been patching it pretty much daily.
Wow.
It's been non-stop updates. I don't think there's been 2 in one day yet, but pretty much every day I'm like, all right, do I need to download an update before I start playing? And so when I stop playing, it's like, oh, hey, there is an update. And I was like, okay, well, thanks for telling me now. Good timing. But one of the changes they made was they made the days longer. So days like 9 minutes long now or something like that. I think they tweaked it a little bit more after that, so I don't know the exact time anymore. But I felt like that when they did that, they also that had a big enough impact on the sleeping time passing that now the iron and stuff isn't as big of a deal. I can basically go expend my energy twice, sleep in between, and then all the stuff I have crafting in the forge, whether it's iron or glass or something else, that's going to be ready. So I don't feel like I'm sitting there as long waiting on iron and stuff. I don't know if they tweaked that separately from the day or just the way the day length changed, the math behind it made it better. Because the way it works is, 3 minutes on a forge is, a third of a day now. And you need X amount of time to sleep to get your energy back. So if you're sleeping for, say, 8 hours, which would be essentially 3 minutes in the game, so you're sleeping and you're guaranteeing that at least one thing is going to be done if it takes 3 minutes, which a lot of things don't, especially once you start upgrading stuff. So that aspect, it's gotten a lot better. It was probably a little better than I made it out to be last time, but they are constantly patching the game. So it's some of the issues early on, because I haven't experienced any bugs, but others have. Those are rapidly being patched. So good on them.
All right, so I'm guessing that's it. I wanted to make sure you had just a bit time. I didn't want to. I know me. I'm the same way. I love actually myself. That way I remember in time. So we will roll into today's topic, which is Gamescom. I got to tell you, Chris. This definitely hit me out of nowhere. I am, apparently, I'm going to say half am and half was fairly ignorant when it comes to Gamescom. This is not something that I follow. Typically, E3 is about the main thing I follow anyway. So I didn't know anything about this. I had seen some YouTube personalities come across showing some reaction videos and talking about it. I was like, oh, Gamescom, okay. This lasting, apparently it's still going on. I think it goes to the 25th.
Yeah.
21st or the 25th. So I'm going to leave a bulk of this up to you. Tell me and the audience, what is Gamescom?
So, like you, I normally gloss over Gamescom. Probably the only reason we're talking about this tonight is because Xbox actually did a streamed, almost not conference, but what it officially was is apparently every month there is a Xbox Live Now or, some little show they do every month. And they were doing it live from Gamescom this year. If they hadn't done that, we probably wouldn't be talking about it. We might talk about a little bit of news next week, but they showed stuff, and that really got my interest in it. So Gamescom is similar to E3. It's a it's a smaller event, but it takes place over in Germany. I don't know if it's always in Germany, but it's at least in Germany this year, if I'm not mistaken. And it's, I don't know. I don't know enough about Gamescom and its history. I don't know per se why it's a thing, so to speak, if that makes sense, without, really sounding like an asshole. Because we have E3. That's a big one.
Right.
And typically when we have other shows, like there's one coming up, it's in Tokyo. It's more of a E3 type thing where it's electronics, or what E3 used to be. I don't know if E3 still is really. It's mostly games, if not really all games. But the Tokyo, God, I need to look up the proper name. I feel like an idiot and a jerk. But the Tokyo one is more electronics wide. Whereas Gamescom is games. They did talk about some hardware, but generally it's just another game expo. Again, that's for the European audience. Maybe that's one of the main reasons they do it, is to get into that, European audience that can't fly to America or, wants more than to watch the stream and whatnot. But a lot of times, and why I haven't really paid attention to Gamescom in the past, is because it just seems to be a rehash of E3 news. Going through and showing videos from E3, and it's like, okay, this game is still coming out. Nothing's changed in the last 4 months, 5 months, however long it's been. I think it's been 5 months now. But this year, I feel like there's a little bit more news than normal coming out of there. I don't know that there's been very many game announcements like you get at E3. It's more details on existing news, so to speak. Like Battlefield 5. We know Battlefield 5 is coming. That's nothing new. But they announced, the open beta is starting on September 4th or 6th, depending on pre-order or, Game Pass membership or whatever it is. That's, a minor announcement really for them, but, and Gamescom did seem to focus a lot on DLC, for games that are already out, and then new trailers and whatnot for games that are going to be coming out fairly soon. I think one of the good things about Gamescom is it doesn't seem to have the same, what's the word to use? Wait time on the games they show. Typically it seems like games that that are shown at Gamescom are those that are slated to come out fairly soon. I think the longest one out is Shenmue 3 that they announced as a release date, which that was that was the Gamescom announcement, is they announced the release date. So we now know Shenmue 3 is coming August 27th of 2019. So almost exactly a year, which isn't terribly long in the gaming world. But I think that's one of the longest ones on the list that they talked about that we have to wait for. No remake, no, nothing like that. That's like, will it ever come out? It seems like more solid stuff that they actually, didn't want to waste their time and money going to talk about something that may never come out. They wanted to get people hyped for things that are about to come out.
Something I noticed about, so I watched the Xbox, I guess conference, for lack of a better word. Sure. And, I hate to just start off with the negatives, but a couple negative things that I noticed about this thing. One, I didn't really care for the main announcer guy. I didn't care for the main corral. He definitely seemed like John Q. Business to me. He seemed like a guy that was tasked. He seemed like a non-gamer guy who was tasked with making documentaries and montages of these things. And he did a damn good job, but I don't know. I just didn't you know, it's different than seeing him and then seeing all the people on stage from E3. Again, it's not E3. I get it. But a big thing that I really didn't like, and I'm guessing it's just the way that they edited this thing, was very quick fucking shoots from, hey, let's talk about this game. Here it is. 5 seconds of something. Bam, cut away. So, Tomb Raider is coming out, and let's talk about this whole different game. I saw that a few times where it was like, oh, that's all we got? That was all I could see? What was that? It almost seemed like they were bad edits, you know? Again, don't know if it's intentional. Don't know if that was just, let's try to tease as much as we can, but I didn't care for it.
Sure.
I did see some, again, while they were nice documentaries, while they were cool documentaries, I don't know if I needed to see that many at something where I'm looking for news and screenshots and, you know, release dates, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I forget what game it was. I want to say it was Dead by Daylight. Oh, and I mean, for full disclosure, I didn't watch the Xbox thing by itself. I was watching it basically with the Easy Allies. So I got to see their reactions, but also I was watching it, you know, as they were watching it. And, yeah, I agree. I think it was it might have been Dead by Daylight. I can't remember the name of the game, but like they were talking over the game, but they were showing just still images. Like they would show a character model and just pan the camera around it. And it's like, what do you do? Just show the game? You show the game. Like, what are you doing? It was just weird little off-putting choices about a lot of this thing. It felt the whole thing felt very manufactured, even more than E3. Sure. For my first foray into a Gamescom, this really didn't do much for me. I think Devil May Cry 5 was about the best thing that I took away from it. I saw little hints of Kingdom Hearts, but that wasn't Kingdom Hearts. That was the Disney Island or Disney.
Yeah, there's a bunch of games. I think they were talking about going to Game Pass. Is that what that was on?
Yeah. So, of all the games, like, I don't remember seeing anything about, I'm seeing now, per the IGN site, I'm seeing, stuff for, like, Cyberpunk 2077, Resident Evil 2. Like, I'm seeing some things on here that I'd be interested in, but, I mean, they were talking about Fallout, they were talking about PUBG, I think Dead by Daylight, just Battlefield 5 stuff. It just wasn't really stuff that I was very interested in. So from what I saw, just from that video alone, this Gamescom was very like ho-hum for me.
Yeah, I think one of the big things is that they don't actually stream a lot of stuff. Xbox is kind of a not exclusive, but one of the only ones that actually stream their stuff. Blizzard did one today where they streamed their stuff. So Destiny 2 was included. They did some Overwatch stuff, some Heroes of the Storm, and then WoW. But that's unusual for Gamescom. That typically doesn't happen. So seeing like on the IGN page that we were looking at, that's all the stuff that they went and saw, you know, in person. And that's really the way Gamescom is experienced, I think.
Yeah, because I was looking at it, there was confusion between you and me, particular, when it was like, "Hey, man, you want to talk about Gamescom?" And I was like, "Well," because as I was looking at the videos that were being posted, I saw like, you know, there was an induction thing, and they went through that, and I saw the Xbox. I was like, "Oh, is this basically E3 again? Like, are we gonna have an Xbox conference and a Sony conference and a blah blah blah?" And now that I'm looking at, you know, Gamescom itself, it seems like yes and no. There's like a hybrid. There's a mix. I feel like the main takeaway from Gamescom is the people that go to Gamescom and get that E3 aspect of it. You know, they get to have all these tech demos and all these gameplay demos, and you know, I'm seeing a lot of concept art / gameplay footage, yada yada yada. I'm seeing a lot more of that than I'm seeing, you know, the Sony conference or the Square Enix conference, you know. So seems like a hybrid version of E3.
Yeah.
Little less video, a little more hands on, I guess.
Yeah. So you want to run down?
Yeah,
a little bit of the list.
For those who are looking for reference, I'm sure me and you were looking at the same thing, Chris. The IGN article, 2018 Gamescom.
Yeah, we can reference that one. I also have my spreadsheet list I was putting together as I found stuff.
Well, yeah, duh.
Yeah, the work I put into the spreadsheet for us and doesn't get looked at but by one of us. But it's okay. It's okay. We'll go off the IGN article. It's fine.
Too much salt, Chris. It probably has the same stuff, man. We can get on your list. It's totally fine.
I'm gonna go mainly through my list because I've kind of skimmed through the IGN one and kind of picked out here and there things to talk about.
Yeah.
But the Xbox thing was really the first thing I watched, and that's kind of the biggest thing. Is where a lot of the content that I found came from anyway. So they showed that Hunt Showdown is going to get a Xbox One game preview release. Now, Hunt Showdown's a game that I've seen played a little bit, but I have almost no interest in it at all, even almost to watch. It's not a... how do I put it? I don't know. I think it's still in early access. I actually marked it as not interested on Steam. It's grayed out. It is an early access. It's an interesting concept. It's PvE and PvE together. You're hunting these monsters, but other players, can kill you and stuff. So it mixes a little bit of that. It's got generally positive reviews. I just think it's too early. But having an Xbox One, okay, maybe, that'll increase their audience. And it is part of the Xbox One game preview, which, going back to our earlier discussion about early access, that's the console version. That's the Xbox version of early access, is the game preview. The next item on the list was PUBG. It's on the game preview, and it actually gets its Xbox 1.0 release, September 4th. I thought that it went to 1.0 when PC did, but I guess not. Apparently they had more issues porting it over and stuff. There were more bugs than they expected. So it seems like it was staggered. Battlefield 5. I already mentioned they announced their open beta launch September 4th or 6th. Depending on if you have... I should actually probably look that up. It's if you pre-ordered or if you have Origin Access Premier. You get it on September 4th. Everybody else gets it September 6th. And they showed some trailers, which a lot of these are just more trailers. State of Decay 2. They... I don't know if this is where this was the announcement of it, but they showed details about their upcoming Daybreak DLC. The big takeaway from it for me, State of Decay 2 I lost a lot of interest in really quick because of some of the way the systems work. It was interesting. It's a good concept. I just think the execution could have used some more work. But this DLC, and I'm not familiar with the other DLC. I'll throw it out there now. I didn't know it existed, really, to be honest. Even though I probably got it for free because I think I bought the season pass bundle, whatever you want to call it, gold edition. I have to go back and actually check. But this DLC adds another mode, which it's a horde mode, or you survive waves of enemies, essentially. I guess it's kind of a horde mode. And it was interesting in that you have permadeath, except you respawn, which sounds contradictory, but the character you play dies, and then you respawn as a different player, a different character, or something like that. So you're not just respawning with your stuff. I guess you're starting fresh with another character. I don't know exactly how it works in this sense, but it's odd because this is separate from the main game. This is actually a whole different mode, but apparently it will benefit your single player game. So with how much emphasis is put on the single player game on managing your individual people, it seems odd to have another mode that has no relation to your single player game, as far as I know, but then it benefits it.
Right.
It's just kind of odd. I really should look more into it. Maybe once it comes out, I'll look into it and all the other DLC, see if it's worth me going back to the game. Because if I don't have the season pass right now, I probably won't play the DLC.
Right. Yeah, same here. I don't have the game at all, so.
Yeah. Sea of Thieves gets a new DLC, which we've talked about Sea of Thieves a bit. It's definitely not what we were expecting with that type of game. I understand people, why they have fun with it, but even the people that have fun with it realize how little content the game actually has. They've put out several DLCs, and they have helped. There's a lot more content to the game now. It seems like a lot more fun to play as an individual and as a group than it was when it first launched. So good on them. And this DLC looks Forsaken Shores adds like volcanic islands to it, which they look cool. So, hey, games are going in the right direction. Improvements are improvement. Good on them. Fallout 76, they showed a new trailer and footage that focused on the base building aspect of the game. To talk about something else that happened, I didn't even know what happened until I was looking up this Gamescom stuff and watching it. But I had forgotten that Fallout 76 was going to be talked about at QuakeCon. So at QuakeCon, they had talked more about the PvP and the level up system. So the level up system, I don't want to spend too much time on Fallout 76. I know a lot of people are feeling very negative about the game right now, but I still hold out hope. So the perk system, every time you level, you pick, your special to put a point into, and then your perks are actually determined by cards you have, and you get these cards every time you level. And I want to say it's every third level up to a point, and then every 5 levels after that, you get a pack of cards that you get to choose from on top of your normal level reward. And you slot in perks using your special points you've allocated by leveling. And that determines your skills and whatnot, and your bonuses. I mean, they're your perks. So some of them are better for solo play. Some of them are better for not PvP, but group play. Maybe some are better for PvP. I don't know. But you get to choose kind of your build, and you can swap them out at any time. So if you're out gathering and all of a sudden you're like, oh, hey, I want to go kill all these things. Well, okay, I can switch to a more offensive build. It seems like there was a bit of controversy because a lot of people thought, oh, great, now it's pay to win. You just buy card packs. But that's not the case. You can only get them by leveling.
Good. So
I think that that quickly got resolved via, what's his name, putting a tweet out on Twitter saying, no, it's not. You can only get it from leveling. And people are like, okay, cool, thanks. I don't recall what all was said about PvP. PvP is going to be odd in that game. It was about the anti-griefing stuff. Basically, and this is actually pretty cool. So when you encounter another person in the world, and in MMOs, typically what happens is you run into someone else. If they're a PvPer or a griefer or, something in between, they're just going to murder you or attempt to, And Fallout 76, apparently the first hit will do like a quarter of the damage. Kind of basically essentially as a warning shot. Mm-hmm. And if you as a player doesn't want to do that, you can turn around and run away. Now, they may still kill you, but if they kill you, they are now wanted for murder. Because they murdered someone that was actually running away. They didn't want to fight. So now it's, you've committed a crime essentially. So you get a marker on you. You show up on the map for all players now. I think there might even be a bounty placed on you.
Yeah, I thought I heard something about a bounty. I might be mistaken, but
yeah, that sounds really awesome. Sounds like a really good way to counter griefers. I thought I just had as the what if people just turn their backs just to get that triggered, you know, and then turn around and kill them. But
that's an uphill battle with shit like that, man.
Yeah.
Like, I commend companies for doing their best to try to thwart griefing, but at the same time, I've had to learn a hard lesson in life that's you can't always fucking be mad at somebody for how they want to have fun with the game, and that's apparently some people's fun.
Yeah,
it just sucks, and but yeah, good on them. Thank you. Keep trying. If it doesn't work, tweak it, make it better. Awesome.
Oh yeah, and that's that's one of the things about Fallout 76 is keep in mind this is all one big experiment. This is them going, hey, we'd like to base building, and we want to do more base building in 4, but we didn't quite get it in time, and it wasn't what we wanted to do. It didn't feel like it fit in 4, so we're just going to do this other game, unrelated, and use some of those mechanics, expand on them, add multiplayer, because we couldn't do it in 4. Let's see how it goes. If it goes well, great. If not, okay, a learning experience. It's not, it's going to be shit, and shame on them for even making the game. Come on. Yeah. That's a shitty attitude to have.
Yep.
But yeah, so they showed the base building stuff, which I don't think was really anything new. They just kind of emphasized it more, or really, answered, I guess, a few more questions about it. I mean, the big thing is you have your camp, which I think they hadn't actually announced the name of, but maybe that's what the big thing was. But you have your camp, which is an acronym. I don't know what it stands for, something funny, Fallouty, whatever. But you pick up your camp, and you can take it anywhere, if you want to relocate your base, and it basically blueprints everything and builds it back out. Nothing we didn't already know, I think. I was much more interested in the stuff from QuakeCon. But that's so close yet so far, for Fallout 76. That's, November 14th. And the beta is, October. So it's not a very long beta. There's actually a big uproar about that, but whatever. I don't care. It's a beta.
It's a beta, and you get to play with the construction and assembly mobile platform.
Yeah. The next game was Ori and the Will of the Wisp. Did you play Ori and the Blind Forest?
Man, it's like you read my mind sometimes. So this was one of the many, many, many games that I bought at the summer Steam sale of 2018. And I did put in probably about an hour into this game. I can see where people like it. It didn't blow my mind. If I'm stacking this game up against the thing that twigged me about this game is the fact that it's word of mouth pushed to me as a Metroidvania. Like, good, I'm in, I'm ready to go, let's do it. This compared to, say, Hollow Knight, it completely underwhelmed me compared to Hollow Knight. It has some cool good controls. It's got its own thing. I just wasn't extremely interested.
Sure.
I saw the potential. And granted, I only put about an hour into it, but it's one of those that once I get out of this whatever roar I'm in now, including Spider-Man and whatever else I work on after that, I'm going to get around to giving it another solid try. It just seemed very okay. I did say it's very, very underwhelming, but again, if I'm putting up against Hollow Knight, Hollow Knight just blew me away, and I went through that game twice. So when I was thinking in my mind, another Metroidvania, that's what this was. I went to go play this and went, it's okay. It's just middle ground for me. I'd have to give it some more time and maybe take some notes on it and see what, if I'm continuously underwhelmed or if it gets better or what. But that's where I am. So as far as Ori and the Wild Wisps, I'm trying to stay blind to it. I don't think there's much from the story that the trailers can spoil for me. Yeah. But, it's simple. I haven't played the first one, so it's not that I'm not interested in the second one. I'm just indifferent to it,
Yeah, they showed, basically all they showed at Gamescom, was that a new mode that's going to be in, which are basically time trials. So there'll be little in-game leaderboards against your friends for little stage sections. I don't know if they're full stages or just parts of it or a combination, but okay. fun little thing. It doesn't have a firm release date. It's just 2019 right now. I've also not played the first one. My understanding, the first one of the reasons it was so popular, and it's got mostly positive reviews on Steam, in the thousands. It's very, very popular. My understanding is that most of that popularity comes from the atmosphere of the game, the story of the game. One of the tags for it on Steam is cute, So people like it because it's a cute game. Totally get it.
I can totally see how like the graphics and or the style and or like it's got a lot of kind of like the blooming effects. Like it looks good. I will say that, but it is a personal taste. Like the theme doesn't exactly fit for me. The style of it is not really all there for me. So I fall back to the gameplay. The gameplay has to wow me now, and it's okay. It's not, blowing my socks off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those games I just actually added to my wish list. I thought it was on there before, but it wasn't. I'll eventually play it. I probably should have picked it up on the sale like you did, but I didn't. I'm happy for him, though. Game's so popular, and a lot of people are really, really happy about the sequel. The next game they showed was Metro Exodus, which comes out in February. We already knew that part. But they showed off a new level / environment. I'm not sure exactly how the Metro games are structured. So, I can't speak too intelligently on it, but they basically showed a new level. A little bit more gameplay. So nothing huge there. They showed, I think this is the first time they've showed this trailer, for Life is Strange 2, episode 1. Have you played Life is Strange?
I vicariously through the two best friends played that. I could tell from a distance this game was not really for me.
Sure.
I got the fairly realistic but a little bit of a fantasy vibe from it, but it wasn't ever a game I was ever going to pick up. And then watching the whole entire gameplay through, I kind of felt the same way at the end. I was like, it's interesting. I know there are people who are doing 20 backflips over this sequel. They love the first game, and that's great. I never want to discredit anybody's like. If you like Life is Strange and that game is like the number 2 game of that year for you, awesome. But for me, it didn't really do it for me.
Yeah. But to the degree of, I'm sorry, I think it was at E3, Square revealed that trailer for the boy that pretended he had superpowers, and people were like, this is in the universe of Life is Strange, and it has that same look and same appeal and same aesthetics, and they were going crazy, and I was like, well, that's sorry. Yeah.
It's just not a game for me.
Yeah, totally understandable. It happens. Not all games are for all gamers, and a lot of people, kind of tend to forget that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Life is Strange 2 Episode 1 actually comes out in a month, September 27th. So those fans don't have long to wait. Now, the next one is one you probably have more to say about than me, but Devil May Cry 5 got a release date, and they showed off some new stuff.
Got to see the new trailer, got to see some more gameplay, a lot of aero combat with the main character. And of course, for me, the biggest takeaway, the biggest like, oh shit, okay, that was worth watching the trailer, was showing Dante ride in on a motorcycle, and then oh man, he fucking picks up the motorcycle, it splits in two, and he uses it as like fucking bladed cudgels. Oh man, I was like, that okay, now this is now Devil May Cry. Okay. The combat is an essential part of Devil May Cry, I'll give you that, yes, but Dante picking up a fucking motorcycle and splitting it in two and using it as two weapons that are like awesome fucking demonic looking weapons, and then putting them back together and riding off on the same motorcycle. Yes, that is what you need, Capcom. That's what you stick with that. Stick with it.
Yeah, and you on the spreadsheet now you see in my little comment section release date, new trailer, and gameplay. When I first watched that, all that said was motorcycle swords ? That was my takeaway. I was like,
so good.
Okay, what is this?
So good. That took me back to Devil May Cry 3 and beating Navon and her turning into a fucking guitar scythe. I was like, again, it sounds corny. It sounds cheesy. That's fine. It sounds so fucking B-movie-ish, but that has always fit for Devil May Cry for me. Like, that's always been, it's like, if you watch the story of Devil May Cry 1, it's like, whatever. Devil May Cry through, I heard there was a Devil May Cry 2, but I guess there's a sequel. The third one gets a little bit better, but they still play some of that cheese in there. They still put some of that, a little bit wacky out there. I mean, come on. At the beginning of the game, he gets stabbed by like 6 fucking scythes, and then he starts kicking their asses anyway. Like, that fits that, and I like that. So keep that up. In that universe, in the universe of Devil May Cry, it fits perfectly.
Yeah, and the release date for that is March 8th. So not a whole lot of time for that either.
Yep.
Like I said, all of these games not far away.
And another passionate fucking person on the stage talking about their game too. I don't remember their names. I should. I think Hideki. I should know that. That's so bad. Devil May Cry. Creators. I'm sorry, I've got to do this on the fly because I need to do him justice. Hideki Kamiya. Yeah, I was close. And I forget the American. I want to say he may be a Ninja Theory guy that's helping work on it. Somebody will correct me, or I'll look for it. But anyway, those two were on stage doing like a one-on-one interview or a 2-on-1 interview with the guy. And 2-on-2 actually, because they were both talking about it. And just hearing them talk about like, yeah, this is what we put into it. This is the passion, and this is like what we want. Like, they really want to make it a point that, the Devil May Cry that we know and love is back. That's good. If you keep that mentality. I mean, I'm kind of a little on the fence because you have another character. You possibly Nero, who's the main character again. Man, come on, guys. You don't have to do that. Like, if you really want this to be Devil May Cry, keep fucking Dante in there. But, the game's probably going to be great. And maybe it'll have enough Dante in there where it won't even matter. So... But I love their passion, man. I love hearing them talk about it. They're like, Devil May Cry is here, man. Yeah, we're fucking doing it.
That's the vibe we got from at E3 as well. So the next game that they showed didn't seem like it was literally anything new, was Sable. This is a very artsy type game. It's supposed to have, a bunch of different influences. But it just kind of looked odd to me. Doesn't come out until 2019, so maybe they'll show more and I'll be more interested in it. But right now, I don't know. I might watch someone else play a little bit of it just to see what it looks like. But it may just be...
The MC5 guy was Matt Walker. Sorry, I had to...
Okay.
Good guy. Sorry.
Yeah. But with Sable, I don't know. I feel like when on PS4, we got Journey, which was an interesting little game. It was more of a experience, it seemed, than an actual, fully fledged game in my eyes, which is cool. Totally fine with that. Because people, that's why they played it. Once they saw what it was, they're like, oh, hey, this is cool, I feel like Sable is kind of a follow-up to that with having a artistic style to it. But it's a very odd one for me. Yeah. I'm not as familiar with the reference material they're using. I don't know. They didn't show anything new that I know of.
I feel you. Here's my take on this game. It's going to sound kind of asshole-ish, I guess, but whatever. I don't know what the fuck this game is, and I don't care. Like, I see the trailer, I see a character getting on like a hover bike and flying around, I see some walking around, I see some type of adventure game that looks like it belongs on Steam that has a pencil drawn shader pack over it. That's all I know. Like, again, this is another one where people are like, that game looks so good, it looks so awesome. I'm like, yeah, it has its own little unique look to it, but what is the game? Like, what am I doing? Why why am I interested in the game? Because I don't play games just for art. You know, when I played God of War and the graphics in God of War were great, that was a plus. But I didn't pick up the game because, oh man, the fucking detail in his shield was awesome. You know, that's an extra. It's the same way for me with Journey. I never played Journey because I didn't know what the game was, and it looked interesting and had its little appeal to it. I get that, but I didn't know what the game was, and even after the fact, after the game got released and I heard people talking about it, I still didn't really understand what the game what's the point of it. Oh, it's just an experience. Well, okay, I'll get around to that then. I don't know why. I if I'm just being binary in my thought, but like if you can't explain the game to me other than it's just an experience, I'm not exactly really interested.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what I saw with this game. I see this some type of somewhat adventure game with a fucking pencil filter over it.
I hear you.
Meh. Doesn't really blow me away and make me want to go buy the game. So.
I think that's one of those games that has a particular audience, and that's it.
Right. This is for somebody. This is for a group of people. And I hope it's right up your alley. But me just looking from the outside in, not interested.
Yeah. Something that was an interesting little segment. They had a little documentary type thing about Halo Fireteam Raven, which is a arcade Halo game. I didn't know it was even a thing. I thought this was like something new coming out, but apparently it's already here in the US and it's about to be released or releasing soon in Europe or UK or somewhere. I don't know if it's just all of Europe or just particular UK. I can't remember specifically, but it was a neat little thing they showed, showing them making the cabinets and the work going into it. That's always neat to see. And it's Halo. I love Halo. I actually got an email today that there's a new book, a new Halo novel coming out in like a week and a half. And I'm like, I didn't even know that was coming out. Great. Thanks for the email. I went and pre-ordered it. Because I talked about it before. I've read literally every Halo novel there is. I love the Halo universe. So anytime I see something Halo, I'm like, all right, I'm at least going to check it out. The next game they talked about was DayZ, also topical from last week. Not a great history on early access. And apparently they're going to spread that to Xbox with the game preview program next week on the 29th of August. I don't know that they announced anything new or special. They just talked a little bit about the production, I think. And that was it. I was like, okay, more DayZ. Don't care. Never cared about the game. Maybe when it's finished, I'll check it out. But it's not got that same feel like 7 Days to Die where I want to play it as it's being made,
Right.
So, and I don't know.
This game, this shit was like in the early 2000s, 13, something around that time frame. So the fact that it's coming out now on Xbox One, it's like, okay. And I'm not, that's not me saying that an old game can't be enjoyed as I'm playing through Persona 4. It's just, it's just fit many games of this Gamescom thing where I was like, okay.
No. I mean, it's not even coming out as game preview. It's still early access. It's just early access on console. So, I don't know. The next one they showed was The Division 2. I literally have no notes for it because I kind of zoned out. I don't know if they even showed anything new. I think they just showed another trailer.
I feel so fucking out of the loop with this game because they are pushing this Division nonsense, and I'm like, what was the first Division? I never even played that. I barely even heard about it. So
I played the first one, and I was pretty disappointed overall with it because the grind did not feel good. And it's kind of funny because when it came out, it was like, okay, this is a Destiny competitor. But after coming from Destiny and playing it, I was like, this does not feel good. This feels so forced. The map is just ridiculous. The kind of progression structure, really turned me off of the game. And I just flat out quit it. I don't know if I'll ever go back to it. I may just pick up Division 2 and see if it's better. You know, I'll watch a little bit more first before I actually buy this one. But if it's better, maybe I'll pick it up. I'll never touch Division 1 again, I don't think, which is sad. I don't mind that style of game. I just don't think it was executed as well as it could be.
And anything that I've seen, just gameplay of Division 1 trailers and whatnot, again, it was just meh. Nothing really just grabbed me. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it, I looked through the IGN thing. They don't even have it listed, so I guess it had literally 0 things new. Because the article, I think, is only supposed to be new stuff, not just everything shown. It may be everything. So whatever. The next thing they showed was Shadow of the Tomb Raider. They showed a new trailer. Game still looks good. I still can't wait to play it. It comes out September 14th. Man, that's soon. That's literally 3 weeks away.
Yep.
All right.
Spider-Man comes out a week before that.
There's so much to play. It's going to get busy. Yeah. Oh, let me switch back to my right tab. But yeah, new trailer, so great. The next thing they showed was this Dark Pictures anthology thing, which is going to be a set of games based on movies or something.
I guess.
I actually didn't include this one on my list at first because I thought it was just talking about movies, and then it was like, no, it's games based on these or something like that. I need a bit more information on it. I probably should have looked more into it. I don't know if this is something that was just announced. I think this was just announced, so I don't know how much information there really is for it.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Creators of Until Dawn and Man of Medan is the first game out of those. What's an anthology? How many is that? Is that a set number?
I thought an anthology was like any large number in a
That's
series.
What I thought. Okay. But I think I saw something that said 5, so who knows?
Because I think, was it Final Fantasy anthology was just 4 and 5? Like something like that? So that was only 2 games, so.
I don't know.
A published collection of poems or other pieces of writing. So, it's not an anthology at all. Actually, it's a published collection of stories or musical songs or composition. Shut up. Just go ahead and get that guy right out of the way.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, if you're a horror fan, I guess it has something for you, because it's all horror games.
Yeah.
The next one they talked about was Forza Horizon 4. They didn't do it at E3, but they had to do it here, where they bring out some ridiculous car. Which is, they're cool to look at, but it's like, okay, come on. Let's talk about game and stuff. They did apparently show a new mode for the game. Whatever. It's Forza Horizon. I'm sure it's a lovely game, but whatever. I don't really have a whole lot of interest in it. I already talked about the next one, Shenmue 3. Got its release date in a year. And then that actually wasn't part of the Xbox one. That was something that followed it somewhere else. Also elsewhere, they talked about some new video cards being released. The GeForce RTX 2080 and 2080 Ti, and a 2070 version coming later. Another $1,000 video card. I'm not doing it. The Ti is or I think it's 800 and Ti is 1,000 or something. Whatever. Way more than I'm going to spend. It hurt. It physically hurt to pay like the $350 I did for my card I have, and that's essentially half price. That's the only reason I paid that much, was because I was already paying for something more. The video card I have was like a $700 card. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't own it if it wasn't for getting a discount on it because it's pre-owned from a friend. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, they showed new cinematic trailers or released them for the characters, both main characters. I actually haven't watched them. I don't know that I will. I just want to play the game. This is one of those games where I don't need to see more. I'm going to play it. I think I technically have it ordered on Xbox already, which is why I didn't talk about it on Amazon pre-orders earlier. That's only my Amazon orders. On Xbox, I have more. I have Fallout 76 pre-ordered. I have Assassin's Creed Odyssey pre-ordered. Or no, Odyssey was on Amazon. Fallout's on Xbox. It's hard to keep them all up, track of.
It probably transcends, like, I don't even need it. It's not just that I don't need to see anything more. I don't want to see anything more. I want whatever options you're going to have, a surprise, or what new features. Let it be a surprise, At this point, I'm already sold, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Origins was the test, Did the gap do them good? Are they back on track? I think so. So I'm looking forward to Odyssey. If they didn't show a single trailer in the year, I'd be playing it. I'd be just as excited to, looking forward to it. But yeah, those trailers are out there. They showed some more other gameplay stuff, I think. But like I said, I haven't watched any of it because I don't need to. But if you're on the fence, go take a look. See what you think about it.
Yep.
This next one is another one that you may be more excited about. Resident Evil 2.
I am. Oh, yeah.
They showed Claire Redfield screenshots and gameplay.
Yep, and this is just what I was just talking about. This is one where I just need to stop because Resident Evil 2 is arguably one of my favorite Resident Evils of all time, and it fights Resident Evil 4 hands down, and it also fights the Resident Evil remake. I love those. Those are up there. And I mean, man, just playing the Resident Evil remake after having went through the first Resident Evil like 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and that game capturing the essence of Resident Evil 1, capturing the feel and putting you right back in that feeling. I love that. That's exactly what I get when I'm looking at Resident Evil 2. They're taking that game and they're overhauling that game, not just a facelift. And you're like, whoa, why are you changing everything? They're like, no, trust me, we're changing everything for the better. Everything that I see about Resident Evil 2, I love, I'm enjoying. I don't need to see anything else about Resident Evil 2. Well, today I was looking at the article for Gamescom this year, and I saw the pictures, and it was showing Claire Redfield, cool. It showed some Sherry Birkin pictures, cool. And then it showed William fucking Birkin, the mutated, gigantic eyeball in the arm. And I was like, oh, I know he's going to be there, but I didn't want to see him yet. Oh, no. So I'm going black all the way on Resident Evil 2, Internet Black, all the way, Internet Dark. I'm going away from it. I don't want to see any more pictures, screenshots, trailers. I'm already sold on Resident Evil 2. I don't need to see anything else. And at this point, anything you're probably going to show me new is going to be spoiler for me.
Yeah.
I remember at E3 this year, there was lots of gameplay demo. I think the last gameplay demo that I saw for Resident Evil 2 was Maximilian Dude. He did so many people have done the 25, 30 minute whatever gameplay. And his was the one that I picked just because I like Maximilian Dude, another content creator that I like to push out there. And him and everybody else echoed the same thing. When they went down the corridor, they were looking for the liquor, and you never got to see it. And I'm like, I don't want to see it now. I didn't see it for the trailers. Nobody showed it. It hasn't been seen yet. All right, you've had your chance. Don't see nothing else. I'm good.
Yeah.
This game is going to be really good, man. I'm telling you, it's going to be good for the Resident Evil 2 audience. And it's going to be good for people that hasn't ever played Resident Evil before. It's good. I love the amount of detail, the amount of love and care they're putting into this game. So it's good stuff.
It looks like it's not just going to be one of those remakes where it's like, okay, whatever. It's going to actually be done well. It looks like it's going to take advantage of the hardware. It looks good. I may hop into it.
Yeah, in particular, I remember the Easy Allies guys talking about a very interesting thing, because this is a remake of a game. You know, there was a Resident Evil 2 in the past, and people have probably went through that game multiple times. I'm looking at myself, who went through it 6 times straight one time to get, I think Tofu was who you got unlocked after that one. It was either Hunk or Tofu, one of those two. Either way. So there are people out there that know this game like the back of your hand. And Michael Damiani was talking about how he went through, and like typically the first thing you want to do when you get into the Raccoon City Police Department is go to the left, because that's usually where you're blockaded to go through. That's the access that you have. And this game, no, they make you go to the right. So already you're outside of your element. You may know most of what's going to happen in the rooms to the right, but you're not used to going that way early. That's just one example of how Resident Evil did it too, where it's like they change your expectations. So you're not just going to fly through this game just because you speed run Resident Evil 2, you know.
Sure.
You're going to have to relearn a new game. That leaves room for them to add surprises to a game that's already been out, a game that people already know. And that's, I love that. Like, thank you for doing that. You know, thank you for making this old experience new again.
Yeah. So, the next one I have on my list is, Shadows Die Twice, which was an interesting game we saw at E3. It has a release date now. I don't know if it was announced at Gamescom or it's just coincident. It was like a day or two before. I was kind of hard to figure exactly out, but it's coming out March 22nd. So now we know when that's coming out. I'm not sure how much interest I have in the game. I may have to wait and see when it's closer to coming out to make a decision on it.
Yeah.
Call of Duty Black Ops 4. They showed new Arsenal map gameplay. I don't know what any of that means because I don't play Call of Duty. But that was a thing. Today at Blizzard, their little thing, I didn't watch the WoW segment because it related to the expansion that just released, apparently, from what I was hearing before I turned it off. So I was like, okay, I don't care about WoW to begin with, but you're just showing more expansion stuff that just came out. So I don't know if it's like you were talking about where they released something else following it up, you know, or harder difficulty or, you know, unlocking something after a certain amount of time. I don't know. But they talked about that afterwards. But the reason I tuned into this was because Bungie was hosting them on Twitch when it started. So, and the title was Cade's Last Stand, which they have announced and shown, and it's just kind of their headline for year 2 and the DLC and whatnot for, you know, Destiny 2 Forsaken, is that apparently Cade dies, you know, which, and I've talked about this before, he's a main character. They're going to have to pull something really big to make up for that, I think. Which people have different opinions on it, you know. It is good in the sense that the game's going to go back kind of to more the darker aspect, but this trailer was really good. I expect nothing less from Bungie, especially now that they're associated with Blizzard, who are known for making some of the most insane trailers.
Oh yeah.
So they showed this, and it was really good. It was definitely the, you know, gut-wrenching thing that I expected. I almost didn't watch it because I know it's going to be in the game. It's probably going to be in the first, 30 minutes or so of it. But still, I almost didn't want it ruined. But it's definitely got me excited to see more, even with, the thought of him not coming back, which is what they've said. He doesn't come back. And this trailer kind of leads more credence to that as well. But aside from that, they also showed a trailer. It's not new, but they showed an exotic equipment trailer showing off some of the new exotic gear that's going to be in year 2. I'm still pretty interested to try out the bow and arrows. In a gun game, a bow and arrow is always interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious how they're going to implement it. There's also some armor in there and whatnot. I mean, some of it's interesting. Some of it I'm looking at and going, man, it's going to suck in PvP. They showed another trailer, not really anything new, I don't think, but for Gambit, the new PvP or PvE PV game, because it's primarily PvE with PvP in it, so I think it's PvEVP. It looks like a cool mode still. So if anyone's not checked that out, I suggest go watching the Gambit videos. But the biggest takeaway aside from the Cade's Last Stand trailer today was that the Gambit is going to be free to try on September 1st.
Oh, wow.
So you're just going to be able to try, and that's going to be after the changes are made to the weapon system. So they're on Tuesday, actually, in a handful of days from when we're recording this, they're going to be changing the slots where they're not as locked as they are. They're not, because right now they're primary, secondary, and heavy, which is actually not the name in Destiny 2. It's like primary, special, whatever. Don't care. Energy, that's the word for special now. Don't care. Anyway, I keep saying I don't care and I keep going back to it because I hate not knowing the right word. But anyway, so those changes are going live. So, there's people joke about, oh, okay, well, now I'm going to be able to carry 3 shotguns. You very well may be. Have a primary, secondary, and heavy shotgun all at once. You're going to be shotgun, crazy. It's going to suck in PvP. But it's cool at the same time because you're now freeing up or providing more options. Because right now it sucks because, okay, I can only put a shotgun in my heavy. I like that for PvP. For PvE, that sucks because shotguns are so good. So it's like, well, can you kind of not punish PvE for PvP? Which now it's going to suck in PvP because people are going to just have a million shotguns. Hopefully it helps balance it out some, but I'm really curious. Someone joked about going into, Gambit with 3 rocket launchers to be the one to go through and rocket launcher the other team. That's their whole purpose. They're useless throughout the entire match until that point. And then they can just go in and use all their rocket ammo and then they're like, all right, my job's done. So it's going to add so much more to the game to be able to have that flexibility. Even from, not just PvP, but PvE as well, having a fusion rifle and other slots instead of just heavy, which really sucks as well. And then being able to do those, have those changes, not even be used to them yet, and then Gambit be available to play, which looks like a lot of fun. As someone who mostly likes PvE, despite my earlier comments about, preferring Crucible over Strikes, that's just because of those game modes, I primarily like PvE. So to have that mix and the way it works, it seems really well balanced, I think is a way to put it, in how much of each there is. It's a kind of a little bit of PvP in a PvE mode, which really appeals to me. I don't mind that as much as, just straight up PvP can be sometimes. So I'm looking forward to that. And the Forsaken DLC comes out September 4th. So that's a week and a half from now. So much to play.
Yep.
So after that, they talked a little bit about Overwatch. I think they were announcing a new character. May have been showing more about a new character previously announced. I know nothing about Overwatch right now. I haven't played it since it first came out, and I got to try it for free or something during one of their free play periods. So, hey, good for you fans. You get another character. Yeah. Hope it doesn't screw up the meta.
Good stuff. Yeah, good stuff.
Heroes of the Storm got a new map, which I'm not a MOBA fan, but the way they were explaining the map, I actually listened to this for some reason, even though I don't play the game. The map sounds really interesting. From what little I know about the game and I've watched about the game, it sounds like this mechanic is going to be interesting. It's based off WoW, is what it is. So you have Horde versus Alliance as your sides on this. And instead of your little tower, castle, crystal, whatever it is that you have to destroy to win the match overall, you have the leaders of each faction, and they fight back. So it sounds really cool. New mechanic. As far as I know, that's new mechanically overall, period. Having not a tower there, or crystal, whatever it is. Having this actual boss, so to speak, that will fight back. That's it on my spreadsheet. Was there anything else in the IGN that jumped out at you? I know there's a bunch of indie stuff talked about, but I haven't followed any of that because I haven't really seen it really gone into.
Yeah, not really. I mean, I see some Cyberpunk 2077 stuff in there, but it's, new screenshots, new stuff like that. And kind of the same feel. Like, it'll be cool to see the stuff. It'd be interesting to hear how the game is developing, like what new options and things like that. But I'm kind of staying away from spoiling anything else on that one.
Yeah, and it's so far out potentially. I don't even know if they've even given a rough estimate of when it's coming out. That I don't really care until we have a release date. So I know how long we have to wait. So I'm going to wait 2 years, and okay, cool, it's coming out eventually. I won't care until a year and a half from now,
I'll kind of say that same thing as well for Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. I mean, come on, guys. This is a From Software developer. I already know I'm going to be all in this game. I've seen enough for the bosses. I think I've only seen a couple. I've seen what the E3 conference showed, and that was enough for me. Like, that's another one of those games where, like, I don't want to have any more bosses revealed. I don't want to have any more weapons or more mechanics or anything that I preach this to this day. The absolute best way to go into any of those games, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, and Bloodborne, and all the DLC, is to go in as blind as you possibly can. Have somebody put that game on you and they just say go. That's the best way to go. And this is a From Software game, so it's the same way. I'm just because we didn't talk about it, it does not mean I'm not interested. I am very interested, to the point where it is pre-sold if I have the money. I know there's been something for it, but I'm staying away from it.
Yeah. Something I don't really want to get into too much. I just kind of want to ask you in general. This Gamescom, they talked a lot about stuff that's going to be available on the Xbox Game Pass. Now, I know Sony, if I'm not mistaken, PlayStation did this first with their PlayStation Now. I don't know if that's the right program still. I know that's one that exists now, but I don't know if it's the same one I'm thinking of, where you could, basically pay one price to get access to a bunch of their games. The Xbox Game Pass, I'm wondering if it's worth it. Something that turned me off of the PlayStation was that you actually streamed the games from them. Yeah. You didn't actually download them. And I don't like that because it gives you all kinds of delay and load issues and stuff. But with what I heard them say with Game Pass is you actually download the games, just like you do now when you buy them. Yeah. You basically get temporary access to it. It's sounding better and better. They're adding a lot of good games to it. In particular, like from this, the Halo Master Chief Collection is on it. If I didn't own that game, that alone could be a reason for me to do it. Because that's so much content. And they have a special now where it's like $2 for the first month and the second month is free. She told me I get access to all these games for 2 months for $2.
Yep.
That's hard to pass up. I don't care what the service is like. That's good or bad. $2 is $2.
Yep.
It's hard to argue against that. I'll put it that way.
I would honestly have to go look up and find details on this because I kept hearing it. I kept hearing it, for lack of a better word, advertised over and over and over and over during Gamescom, and I was like, not interested in being sold on a service right now. So I know jack about it, but that the special is out there. You're supposed to get the first 2 months basically for $2, so that's cool.
Yeah, maybe once we both do a little bit more homework on it, we can have a more educated discussion about it. Yeah.
I'd like to weigh it up against, because honestly, the PlayStation Network thing for me is kind of like Amazon Prime. Like, I purchased Amazon Prime so I could have 2-day shipping free. Mm-hmm. Like, so when they're throwing it, you know, you have audiobooks and music and movies and all this, and they're like, you really can use all this. I never do. And it's kind of the way with PSN for me. The only extra thing that I use for PSN is the fact that I get the free games. Like, that's fucking awesome. I don't know. I'd have to look and see what this service is and compare it and see, you know, how it compares to the PSN, if I'm even interested in getting it, much less continue it.
Yeah, I know Origin has their own version, which I looked at, but it's not really worth it because they don't have as big of a library. But when you're talking about something like Xbox or PlayStation, those are libraries.
Well, yeah, that's it for Gamescom 2018. Now, I say that's it. That's it. That's not it for Gamescom. That's it for this episode because it's still going on. It goes on till the 25th. So there's still some more news and events that can come out of this. But that's pretty much our take on it right now. Again, I got most of this from E3. I didn't see anything headlining that just totally blew my mind. And what I watched just from the Xbox one alone, I was like, meh, okay, cool. Seeing Dante with the fucking motorcycle swords, that's about the biggest takeaway I got, honestly. But to our European audience, you know, I hope you got some good stuff out of this. I hope this was informative for you. You got to see some new interesting stuff. That'd be an interesting ender here. You know, if we do have I know we have a foreign audience. I know we do. I know we have people outside the U.S. that listen to this. So, were you able to check out Gamescom this year? What did you think about the games that got announced, the trailers, screenshots, news, anything? Did you have any big takeaway moments? What did you think about the conference for Xbox? Did you find it interesting, boring? What about Gamescom would you like to talk to the End of Time cast about? Any persona information you want to talk about? Graveyard Keeper, another good one. Anything at all, you know? Oh yeah, almost forgot. Good Lord. For the first time in who knows how long. I honestly don't remember the last time we've had an email on here. I think that was back in the early teen episodes.
Yeah, the last comment when you made your comment about the lack of comments, I was like, was I the last one?
So this will be a section that we'd actually have a whole entire section of this. It'd be our feedback section. We got a comment on SoundCloud from the Perfect Pitch. And he's talking about early access here. He says, early access is such a touchy subject. There are great stories such as Space Engineers, for example. That game has come so far, but so many games that I have bought and so many more that I have, that I haven't, they must take the money and run. They just take the money and run. DayZ is one of my biggest things. I remember being so excited, enjoying it at first, but it never evolved. In fact, it got worse. Wow, that's topical right there.
Yeah.
Also, 7 Days to Die was great, but it suffered the same problem. Things seem to never progress with so many seemingly great future titles, but lots of good things make it out. Like We Happy Few was early access at some point, and now look at it. It's a risk you take that you just have to pray it works out in your favor. Thanks for that comment, Perfect Pitch. And yeah, I agree, man. Anytime, especially the earlier you get into the phase, if the earlier that you're able to put money into it, man, they could just cut and run, not just because they're assholes, but because it just fell through. You know, the funding didn't go the way they wanted to, or maybe they got gobbled up by another company and they said, yeah, you cut that, we're going to work on something else. Like there's always some positive sides while they have to cut, but you're taking a gamble. The positive side is, man, yeah, you get to see that game develop from somewhere around the ground up, and that's pretty cool. It's still early, as we mentioned on the early access episode. I mean, this is still kind of a baby budding thing, and we'll see how it goes as time goes on. We'll see if the process improves or falls through. We'll see what changes come about.
And that was a good example with We Happy Few. I know when that was in early access, it got a lot of questions about, what is this? Why is this like this? It seemed, I don't remember the details, but it had a lot of issues. I saw someone play some an early version. I don't know if it was that even the early access or just a separate beta because it's a, big time streamer. But, it didn't really interest me at all. It seemed very strange. What little I saw of it, but it just released like a week and a half ago, maybe even 2 weeks now. And people seem to really like it. Yeah.
There's good cases and bad cases all around. And again, just time is going to tell on the whole if this thing's going to skyrocket or whatever. The option's there for you. There are early access titles for you to get in on. And I mean, if anything, it gives you some personal credit. Hey, man, I was with them. I was with this game from the get-go. I got to see how it made this dramatic left-hand turn. Or I got to see how funding actually made the game better. It gave them more options. So, for the audience out there, you can tune into our 254 episode where we talk about early access in general. And again, thanks for that comment, man. If you also, audience, have any comments on early access, anything at all that we talked about in this episode or anything game related, non-game related, whatever you want to chat about, comments, complaints, we'll take it all. And there are many ways you can get a hold of us. You can find us on Facebook. You can just search Facebook for End of Time Cast. It'll take you right to us. It might be how you got to this episode right here. You can send us an email at endoftimecast@gmail.com. That's endoftimecast@gmail.com. No funny numbers in there. Just spell it as you heard it. We still have a Twitter page. You can find us there. I mean, there are many ways to get a hold of us. And as the perfect pitch there, you see, you can, at this early stage, you can still get your comment read on here. We like to engage with our audience as much as humanly possible. And that's going to do it for tonight's episode. And we will catch you in about a week. Until then, I'm Michael.
I'm Chris.
Good night, everybody.